We got South Korea, Japan doing a joint response to the United States. South Korea, Japan, and China. America, Donald Trump has united. JD Pandan has united these factions that previously have warred with one another historically. Colonization and unimaginable death tolls, cruelty that you cannot even comprehend, like Holocaust-style shit that Japan did to China, and now they're unified. How did this happen? I'll tell you how it happened. JD Pandan. That's how it happened. That's how it happened. He's doing it. The bullet pierced his ear, but he can still hear the voice of the party. He did it. He did it. The mad lad is doing it. You know I'm talking about that. Don't you worry about a thing, baby. We're going to do that. We're going to get into that as well. He is just JD Pandan will disrupt the American hegemony. Anyway, Trump, like, what else was I talking about? Have you heard about the upcoming protest on April 5th? Shut the fuck up. You're joking, right? You're literally joking. There's no way. I just got done talking about how I'm going to go on April 5th to fucking Washington, D.C. to the protest. And I step away from that statement for like 1 second. And immediately he goes, aha, well, I didn't hear it 32 seconds ago when you said it. Bro, people are tuning in. It just blows my mind because I just stopped talking about it. Anyway, get in now. Why did you just sound like Bill Burr? Because it's making me lose my mind. And when I get mad, I get Bill Burred. You get like 700,000 unique views a day. Any given moment, there are like 10 people coming in and out. I know, but it's just so goddamn annoying to have to respond to the same shit every single time. You know what I mean? The Palestinian Red Crescent stuff, not sure if you covered it. Yes, I will cover all of that as well. Don't worry. All of that and more. I know there's a new Ammon animations on Asmongold as well. Fear not. We're going to get into all of that and more. Okay. All of that and more is upon us. Is your voice still gonish? Not really. I've definitely gotten a lot better. My voice has definitely gotten a lot better. Okay. But here it is. We're blasting off. Okay. Let the people know. Trump says he wants a third term, baby. Let's go. Someone on the subreddit suggests you have a little ticker of topics you covered and are coming to stop this. Dog, we did that. Okay? Everybody loves making suggestions, and nobody actually follows through when those suggestions are implemented, and people don't read. Okay? It's just not a thing. It's like me it's the exact same principle behind why I had the constant like Vladimir Putin is bad ticker running above my head every single time I talked about Ukraine, and people still clipped it. People clipped video clips with that ticker on it, and still were like, they literally clip shit with me going Vladimir Putin is bad on the ticker at the top where I'm actually advocating against Vladimir Putin. And then they clipped it to make it seem like I'm pro Vladimir Putin. Like, these people are insane, okay? Nobody cares about reading. Nobody cares about critical thinking. We will never, ever, ever in a million years be able to right those wrongs, okay? Do you know pen is short for penitentiary in Quebec in one movie at least? Yeah, it is short for penitentiary for Marine Le Pen as well. So you're saying you're pro-Putin? Yes, I love Vladimir Putin. He is my favorite. There is no one I like more than him. Okay. Hunter responded about the video he made about you on TikTok. Who's Hunter? Hunter posted another TikTok about his video about you. Who's Hunter? What? Hunter Biden? I have no idea what you're talking about. All right, let's keep going. Hunter x Hunter and Monster Hunter. Yeah. React to my kid, Jack. Why? You better react to my kid right now. He's a good kid. He's a good boy. A lot has happened to him. Did a lot of drugs. Banged a lot of hookers. A lot of people don't understand. It's not easy. The entire time he was trying to get those prostitutes to unionize, Jack. Sex work is real work. That's right. Think it's easy to take photos of yourself on crack with a gun in your hand. This week, the drama slap is getting so bad. It's beyond slander now. It's intense misinformation. It's been happening, but it's worse and worse. I don't know I don't even know what you're talking about, but I will say that Hasbara has intensified as Israel has, restarted its like ground invasion in Gaza as well on the night of Eid too. So it's not, I think that's what's popping off a little bit. I don't really care about, like drama beyond content creators, if that's what you mean. If we're talking about like actual news, though, there's a lot of misinformation flowing around and a lot of people just like moving your attention back to weird shit, random shit, dumb shit. There's new Amon animations as well. And also I was on Jeff FM and we had some fun where I talked to or interacted with Elon Musk. Yes, Le Pen barred from seeking office for 5 years. It is on the timeline. Do not worry. We will talk about Le Pen. Yeah, I saw this. I thought I retweeted this, but maybe not. Oh, damn, I did not retweet this, but we'll talk about this as well, of course. This is an insane statistic that's Israel related. I'm gonna skip the Marine Le Pen for now, and maybe get back to Le Pen later. Wait. Marine Le Pen barred from running for office. This is how you do it. Macron. I'll just say, Macron, he done did it again. You did not understand Le Macron and the ways his mind works. It doesn't really matter ultimately because, like, that's just one person in the party. She's a figurehead. She's a figurehead for the party overall, but, like, they already moved on to the young, sexy Nazi guy. They already moved on to the young, sexy Nazi guy as, like, the substitute who is, who is like way more optics focused. You're speaking better French than the most Frenchman, not gonna lie. No, of course not. I'm a French political streamer, so if you need some info, I can help. Damn. Okay, maybe later. Thank you. Bardella is getting judged and punished soon as well. Yeah. Did you see what the racist girl said to Speed in China? No. They embezzled campaign funds. It'll affect the party. Yeah. Lots of lawfare happening around the world. You know what I mean? That's just like, I mean, I'll let this one slide. That's all I'm gonna say. But, she can run for president. She can't run for president in 2027 anymore. Yeah. Macron hates the women and does not want to see a woman in a position of power. That is what is happening. You have to see a sexy lady thrive. You do not want to see Le Pen in a position of power. This is what it is. I shall say this only once, but might as well dive into it. Jordan Bardella is ugly as fuck. Bro, for a Frenchman, have you ever watched French movies or French television? Number one, the uglier you are, the prettier you are in French, okay? That's number one. Number two, even from like a non-French perspective, Jordan Bardella is like the handsomest man in France. Judging by what I've seen from French cinema and French TV shows, he is like a normal looking dude, which makes him the most handsome guy in the entirety of France. Okay? I'm going to explode. French democracy is dead. I'm furious. Huge IQ, small PP. I want my subs back. Take that shit back. Listen, I love France. You already know. Lucas has entirely changed my worldview on France. I'm actually no longer a hater of France. I'm a lover of France. I do fucking hate Macron though. Holy shit. But yeah, lawfare for all, baby. That's where we're at. Lawfare for all. Lawfare all across the board. Everybody's doing lawfare. You got Erdogan doing lawfare. Erdogan wrote the theory. Macron is doing the praxis, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, I know I said I wasn't going to talk about this, but goddamn. It's hard for me not to. But it does rub me the wrong way a little bit because they are Nazis and I hate them. But also simultaneously, Macron did some fuck shit with what's his face? With Mélenchon as well. You know what I mean? Like he's just very clearly using whatever methods he has at his disposal to try to shred like any of his opposition. And it's really interesting. She stole money, Hassan. No, I look. We'll get into it. We'll get into it. Because everyone is fucking corrupt. You know what I mean? It doesn't make it appropriate. But we'll get into it. We'll get into it. There's just like something a little bit alarming about it overall. I'm not saying like I hate this, but I am saying that there is a vibe shift overall all around the world where there is there's a Turkification of Western liberal democracy, or rather a Vladimir Putinification of Turkey, and then a Turkification of Western democracy. It's like there's varying degrees of practices that a lot of liberal democracies are engaging in now, and it frustrates me a little bit. It scares me a little bit. I don't like it overall. That's all I'm saying. Okay. We'll get into it later, though. Let's talk about some unification on the other hand. China, Japan, South Korea strengthen trade as Trump tariffs looms. This is insane.
China, Japan, and South Korea held the first trade talks in 5 years on Sunday, amid concerns over US President Donald Trump's import tariffs. The three Asian manufacturing giants agreed to, quote, closely cooperate for a comprehensive and high-level talks to improve free trade in the region. That's according to a statement released after the meeting. Trade ministers from the three nations met ahead of Trump's planned announcement on Wednesday of more tariffs in what he calls, quote, Liberation Day. Last week, Trump announced 25% import tariffs on cars and auto parts, a move that may hurt companies, especially Asian automakers, which are among the largest vehicle exporters to the US. Seoul, Beijing, and Tokyo are major US trading partners, although they have been at loggerheads among themselves. Disagreements over issues, including territorial disputes.
Dude, what is happening? Reuters hit the TikTok AI voice on this. Like, I feel like, and not to be too much of a zoomer and say everything is AI, but like this news article has the vibes of like one of those like Indian AI bot farm TikTok accounts that just like spams random shit. It's not AI. I'm just saying it has like the vibes of one of those videos that sometimes ends up on my fucking timeline. You know what I mean? Like boring, slaps a couple of these videos, slaps a couple of these like B-roll footage, like do a quick readout, 1 minute hit. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's just Singaporean accent? No, I'm talking about the production value. It has nothing to do with her accent. Jesus Christ. You guys are so silly. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that normally when Reuters does news hits, there's a little bit more information in it, where it's not just like a person straight up narrating over moving B-roll like this.
Have prevented them from making any substantial progress on a trilateral free trade deal since starting talks in 2012. The ministers agreed to hold their next ministerial meeting in Japan.
We're going to go to Washington now, where President Trump is talking.
Yeah. Liberation Day, baby. Trump speaks out on tariffs and term limits. Donald Trump, he's doing Liberation Day. He's liberating America from the tariffs. I guess he's liberating the wealthy from the fake wealth that they've accrued in the stock market by destroying the stock market piece by piece. JD Pandon, once again, gotta say, gotta hand it to the man. He's out of his mind, dude. He's doing some real cool shit across the board. Okay, Chinese century confirmed by Matt Iglesias. For the first time in my life, I really just think America may be cooked and it's going to be the Chinese century. Oh no. Ew, boo, boo. I don't want to gatekeep Chinese century, but like, I don't like when Matt Iglesias agrees with me. It just does not sit right with me. There is a grossness associated with that. Yes, he's too late to the game. He's too late to the game as always, but like, it just feels really icky, dude. Oh, gross, gross, gross. Stop. Yuck. Go back to advocating for third-rate neoliberalism or something. You are not white Chinese. I am. You are not Chinese. You will never be Chinese. You will never be white Chinese, Matt Iglesias. Never! We have been begging for Xi Jinping to release us from the shackles, okay? We are the ones. We are the white Chinese that have been begging. It is kind of funny, though, because, like, I do suspect, especially with a lot of the actions that Trump is taking, on as he like manages the American decline in his own fucked up, twisted way, ironically accelerating the American demise. I think once again, right, but too early in terms of going long on China and being very, very bullish on China. I've been, preaching the gospel on this stuff for quite a bit. And many people have been very upset at me for saying this stuff. And half of the things that I talk about with respect to China is not even like, ridiculous glaze or whatever. It's just like correcting the record, right? It's just me basically explaining to people like, you're wrong about this thing that you think is happening. That's usually what it is, right? Bro, what did you think he meant when he said 1 billion Americans? Yeah. Why don't you wait for the right time, always too early? What do you mean? What? When you're right, you're right. That doesn't change the dynamic. You're still right. I was still right about this. It's just more people are now finally coming to that recognition. That's it. But you're right. I'll just wait a little bit. I'll just keep saying China is on the verge of collapse so I can keep accruing all those funds. Oh, this Matt Iglesias post has hurt my feelings. Anyway, all I'm going to say is this, okay? All I'm going to say is this. It needs improvement. I know. Gaming Gaming Okay, that's enough. That's all I got. You have to play it. I left a cat girl stream for this. All right. Yeah. Time to take some Mandarin classes, Hassan. It's true. This is a hate crime, bro. Shut up. It can't be a hate crime. It can only be a love crime.
Talking about openly defying the Constitution, saying he's considering running for a third term, despite the 22nd Amendment limiting a president to 2 terms. He's also ramping up his trade war. Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce has the latest. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. Well, this would defy the Constitution, but this morning President Trump isn't ruling out seeking another term as president. In some of his strongest comments yet, President Trump says he's considering his options to serve a third term in office.
It's so funny you guys are saying it's a hate crime. I'm literally white Chinese, which means it can't be a hate crime, okay? I'm white Chinese, dog. I'm Chinese in my heart, in my mind, in my soul, okay? I abide by Maoist thought every step that I take.
Office, a breach of the Constitution's 2-term limit for presidents.
I don't want to talk about it. I'm just telling you, I have had more people say, please run again. They said, we have a long way to go before we even think about that.
In a phone call with NBC, Trump saying, quote, there are methods which you could do it, including possibly urging his vice president, J.D. Vance, to run and then cede power back to Trump. The president saying that's one method, but that there are others, too. But a third term would defy the 22nd Amendment of the Constitution.
It's so funny the way that these guys approach the subject matter when they're like, well, this is unconstitutional. It's like, what has he done that's constitutional? Every night Trump goes to bed and while he's tweeting from the toilet, he's wiping his ass with the Constitution. And you guys are like, well, this is illegal, sir. Yeah, a lot of stuff that he's doing is unconstitutional. Virtually everything he's doing is unconstitutional. It's kind of the entire point of Trump 2 is seeing how far you can go with the shredding of the Constitution. It's kind of everything that we've done thus far, isn't it?
Which says no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. When asked to clarify, Trump doubling down, saying, I'm not joking, but then adding, it is far too early to think about it. Overnight on Air Force One, Trump declining to respond when asked point blank if he's planning to leave office in 2029 and refusing to comment further on specifics. It's an idea the president and his allies have publicly toyed with for months.
I've raised a lot of money for the next race that I assume I can't use for myself, but I'm not 100% sure because I don't know. I think I'm not allowed to run again. I'm not sure. Am I allowed to run again?
Amending the Constitution to run again would require 2/3 approval by Congress and then ratification by 38 states. Democrats sounding the alarm. Congressman Dan Goldman saying this is yet another.
Yeah, we can't amend the Constitution for anything good, by the way, just for this. We can't do that for anything else, by the way, okay? God forbid. Only for our dear leader, our glorious president, America's own Recep Tayyip Erdogan, dude. Holy moly.
Another escalation in his clear effort to take over the government and dismantle our democracy. Now, this all comes as President Trump this week is poised to upend.
Dems would vote for it just to get Obama. I know. And that is like the terrifying thing that I want to talk about here. Okay. If you grew up anywhere outside of the United States of America, outside of like Western Europe, for example, if you grew up anywhere in the third world, in a developing nation, in a second world country, whatever, okay, outside of Western Europe and the United States of America or Canada or whatever, you know exactly what's going on. It is happening in broad daylight in front of our eyes once again, okay? And a lot of Americans, on the other hand, cannot comprehend what's going on or are just completely checked out or think it's awesome. And today I'm going to be talking about that because there's a new YouGov poll that showed that Republicans especially do not care about due process at all. Like, not even a little bit. And it's very funny because they don't understand what due process is, because when directly questioned about it, they're like, yeah, okay, that's not a great idea. Americans broadly don't comprehend the damages of eroding due process. One of the best parts about the American process in general. I am horrified at how stupid most Americans are. It's crazy. I'm horrified at how stupid they are. I'm horrified at how angry and resentful the Republicans are to a degree where they are advocating for such things. It's really messed up. But yeah, Democrats allowing Donald Trump to potentially overturn the term limits on presidential runs in an effort to slam back Obama into the race is one of the most idiotic things I've ever thought about. And that is precisely why I think Democrats might do it, because they're fucking stupid.
Global trade, promising to unleash those sweeping reciprocal tariffs. He's dubbed Wednesday Liberation Day. Now, the scope of these tariffs.
Stop calling Americans stupid and educate them. Brother, I do that every day. I try every day. I try every goddamn day of my existence. And I don't know, man. I feel like people are very resilient, very resistant.
And how punishing they will be remains unclear. But the president overnight promised to be, quote, generous. But economists, of course, warn that American consumers will ultimately pay the price for this, that costs could rise on everything from produce to electronics to cars, of course, as Trump's 25% tariffs on all imported cars and auto parts are also set to go into effect later this week, George.
Yeah, and that is hitting markets around.
You're rich. Why haven't you fixed the American education system yet? You're right. It's because I don't want to. Yeah. I'm actually gonna go ban for ban with Bill Gates in terms of like rebuilding the American education system as he has destroyed it. Because me and him, we can go ban for ban, you know? We can go M for M, right? Chatters don't understand how numbers work. I know. Like virtually every billionaire, including very famous ones like Bill Gates, and now the entire administrative apparatus is single-handedly working in the direction of abolishing the Department of Education and destroying American education, a project that has existed in perpetuity for multiple decades before I even came to the United States of America. And you think me, a no-motion, comparative broke boy with respect to the likes of, you know, most millionaires and certainly billionaires, I'm gonna fix it on my own. You got it. It's funny, people think like, I guess like there's a true overestimation of how much money I have. Like y'all really think I got like multiple M's, you know what I mean? Multiple M's in the bank account. I'm talking like 50, 60, 100. And it's funny because obviously that's not the case. But even if I did, it still wouldn't be enough. You know that, right? Like if I had $100 million, it still would not be enough. Elon Musk has so far spent $220 million on this election cycle, and he's still the wealthiest guy on the planet, even though he lost multiple billions from his net worth. And y'all are over here being like, yeah, one guy that gets voluntary subscriptions from his chat that doesn't even farm $280 million Elon used in this last election cycle. You're so funny. A funny way to approach this. Yeah. Voluntary donations in the form of voluntary subscriptions in the form of $6 a month, or a free one in the form of a Twitch Prime. And one day we'll be able to go M for M with the Bill Gates of the world. If I have $50 million, it still wouldn't be enough. And you claim you're a socialist? No, ironically enough, I'm saying that like that level of unimaginable wealth that I will never have. Okay, 100%. That level of insane wealth is nothing. It's not even a drop. Like that's how far out the money and the systems that are designed that we're talking about. And it's so funny that people will come in here and be like, why don't you just save the world? Yeah, I'm trying, dude. This, for me, for someone like myself, this right here, what I'm doing right here every day is in comparison to like spending money on, if I were to spend every dime I had, it would be infinitely less effective than what I do on a daily basis in front of the camera. That's precisely the reason why corporations with multiple M's and B's sometimes, you know, billions of dollars of revenue come to me and they say, hey, can we use this for ourselves a little bit? And in most circumstances, I say no.
In the world. Meantime, the president in that interview also made critical comments of Vladimir Putin.
Hey, George, and this is a real change in tone from the president, voicing frustration with Putin. Trump saying he is, quote, very angry and, quote, pissed off that Putin has been criticizing Ukrainian President Zelensky's credibility, something, of course, Trump himself has also done. Now, going further, Trump says he will put more tariffs on Russian oil if they aren't able to reach a ceasefire deal, and he feels Putin is to blame. Those sanctions have proved to be little deterrence in the past, and President Trump does say that he and Putin are likely to speak sometime later this week, George.
Mary Bruce. Thanks.
Just in, Trump asked point blank if he's joking about possibly seeking third term. And he's going to say, I'm not joking. And it's going to play itself out in the exact same ways that it always has. Trump's going to say, I'm not joking. I'm being so for real with you. And then every one of his dumbass fans are going to be like, yeah, based. Third term, based. How about a fourth one? How about a fifth one? Put him in a vat. Make sure that he survives. Put his brain in Neuralink. We need it. Based. Trump should keep serving until every Guatemalan is out of this country. Based. You know? But in any case, you know, and then all the Republicans are going to be like, oh, he's just joking. Please don't pay attention to that. Yeah, just like he was joking about Project 2025, just like he was joking about Project Esther, which the media didn't really cover that much, but yeah, he was just joking about Project 2025, except he's doing it, so I guess it's not a joke.
About a third term, about possibly wanting a third term. Does that mean you're not planning to leave office on January 20th?
I'm not looking at that, but I'll tell you, I have had more people ask me to have a third term, which is, in a way, it's more.
Look at this scumbag smiling, ear to ear. Oh, my God.
Because the other election, the 2020 election was totally rigged. So it's actually sort of a fourth term in a certain way. I just don't want the credit.
He said, I technically ran the country in 2020 as well. It was rigged. So I'll do a fourth term. I'll do a fifth term. Why not? A sixth term.
Biden was so bad. He did such a bad job. And I think that's one of the reasons that I'm popular, if you want to know the truth. I think I'm popular because we've done a great job. I think we've had the best almost 100 days of any president. And most people are saying that. And it's an honor. We're bringing back our country. We're respected as a country again, and we're strongly respected. And people are amazed. I was with some very important people today, and they said that they've never seen a turnaround of a country as fast as this. Even look at our...
Dude, no one thinks this. Like, even his diehard fans that... Like, the only people that still think this, I think, are Asmongold fans who are neats themselves, so they don't care about the stock market or they don't care about anything. You know what I mean? The crypto people are, like, supposed to be the diehard loyalists here, and even they now have paper hands on Trump, okay? I have friends that, like, are in those spaces that constantly send me the crypto guys being like, yeah, hey, guys, I don't know, I don't mean to be an alarmist, but, like, it kind of seems like Trump is fucking everything up. Like, the people that think he's popping off and he's killing it, that number is getting narrower and narrower. It's getting smaller and smaller every single day. He has done zero positive things so far. Like, you are losing. First of all, the markets are crying every day. So there's that. But then even the crypto markets are crying every day. So they don't like that either. Like, everyone is kind of upset, I think.
Border, we have nobody coming in. And you can come into our country, but you have to come in legally. But we have nobody coming in to our country. It's almost shut down. They've never seen anything like
that. The Constitution limits a president. Is it your understanding that they have to be?
I don't even want to talk about it. I'm just...
Because, like, the two things you can't fuck up is the bag for the wealthy. He's doing that with the stock market. And also price of commodities for the average Joe. I was talking about this with my dad last night. Like, we're talking about the tariffs, right? Because we're trying to figure out, like, why he's doing this. And, like, he's trying to bring up the overall net revenue generated through tariffs back to, like, from, I think, like, what, 4% overall net revenue generation to, like, 8%. And it's funny because, like, in that process, you are going to raise the cost of all of these goods, right? And when you do that, when you raise the cost of regular commodities, it's over. The American project is done. That is the last thing that holds the Amerifat empire together, okay? The moment that an Amerifat can't fucking buy a new television that is, like, marginally better with a little bit of bells and whistles on it for $200, $250, but instead has to get it for $400, so he has to put that purchase off for a year, is the moment that they bring the guns out. Okay? So this entire tariff process, if it causes inflation, and it will cause inflation, because I read, I look at I look at Financial Times and Reuters and the reporting on the matter, and Bloomberg, where they go to China and they talk to the Chinese producers, and they're like, yeah, we'll pay 50% of the tariffs. It's fine. We'll lower our prices a little bit. But that means 50% is still being paid by the American, the American importers, which means that the overall cost of the good is going to go up. That is going to carry over to the consumer. That's not something that the American consumer is going to like. As a matter of fact, here's proof in the pudding. Donald Trump is president. Inflation under Biden and the cost of living crisis is literally the reason why Americans were like, I don't even care if he says he's going to deport every Guatemalan. He's like, my best friend is undocumented. My dad is undocumented. I'm still voting for him because, I don't even care if my dad gets deported, but in the process, like, eggs are cheaper. I will do it. I will be on board with that. That's the one thing everybody cares about. Americans are very selfish. Americans are selfish as fuck. Dude, you really think that's all? There's tons of people already in that situation right now. Poor families unable to afford housing, let alone treats. Yes, that's my point. It's not just treats. It's like basic goods. But the treatlerites are the ones that have the most motion. The treatlerites are the Republican Party's base of support. We're not talking about the working poor. The working poor gets shafted regardless with no hope whatsoever. I'm talking about the treatlerites. The suburbs will cry tears of blood.
I'm telling you, I have had more people say, please run again. They said, we have a long way to go before we even think about that.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, do you think that's an appropriate precedent to set, even if it wasn't you in this position, to see a president serve a third term?
I'm telling you, growing up, shit was expensive. Everybody didn't have everything. Trump thinks we can go back to that, but that's nuts. Yes, that is. And that's only nuts because you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, especially when things being relatively cheap, relatively affordable is precisely what holds this entire process together. Okay? That is what stops Americans from rioting. That is the only thing that holds this society together, is the ticker tape. I'm telling you right now, that is the only thing that stops Americans from rioting. The moment that things are no longer as affordable as they were, and it hasn't gotten to that degree yet, I'm telling you right now, It's getting there, but it's not fully there, okay? When we get there, you will see. I'll give you the example that I always use. We told Americans to stay indoors. We'll pay you. Just stay indoors for a little bit, please. You're gonna die. We don't have a vaccine. We don't know what this fucking disease is. And they literally went to the state capitals with weapons because they were like, if I can't get my fucking haircut and my Twinkie, I will kill you. I will kidnap you and I will kill you, elected representative. What do you mean? People still carried resentment in places where they never even shut down. As a matter of fact, I think people carry resentment more in red states where they didn't even shut down. They were angry at the behest of fucking blue states where people were wearing masks. They were fantasizing about this like Chinese style zero COVID policies being implemented in fucking California when that wasn't the case either. And people were upset on behalf of California all the way from fucking Arkansas. It's like, dude, you never even had a shutdown. What is your grievance? Shut the fuck up. And they still talk about it. Like, imagine, you're in South Dakota. They never closed down. And you got chatters from South Dakota whose parents are still talking about the COVID shutdowns and how devastating it was. It's like, what did you shut down? You didn't even shut shit down. Yeah, like with immigration, doesn't affect me, but I see it on TV. Yeah, this is the resentment and anger of relatively comfortable people that don't like the instability that they see on television, and they're stupid enough to believe everything they see on television. That's it. It's called empathy, Hassan. Yeah, empathy. Yeah. The average Ohioan has a lot of empathy for the average Californian. What are you talking about? I mean, I know you're joking, but goddamn. Yeah. The only time America has class solidarity is on the boundaries of reactionary thought. There's no, which is ironically not class solidarity anyway.
I want to talk about a third term now because no matter how you look at it, we got a long time to go. We have a long time. You know, we have almost 4 years to go, and that's a long time. But despite that, so many people are saying, you've got to run again. They love the job we're doing. Most importantly, they love the job we're doing.
Yeah. So you said you were upset with Putin. Would you say your relationship with Vladimir Putin is
job we're doing? Nobody loves the job he's doing. That's just so funny. There's just like, who's saying that, bro? Who are you talking to? Fucking Witkoff? Is that the only guy you're talking to? Navarro? So much love. People love the job we're doing. Everybody loves it. My favorite politician, Asmon Gold. That's his name. He loves it. He loves me. He says, I'm based. I don't know what the kids say. Kids say based all the time. That's right. He's apolitical. He loves me.
Its lowest point right now?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he's going to go back on his word. You're talking about Putin. I don't think he's going to go back on his word. I've known him for a long time. We've always gotten along well, despite the Russia hoax. It's a hoax created by Clinton and Schiff and all of these lunatics. And that really was a dangerous point. That was a very dangerous thing they did to this country. It was a pure, unadulterated scam, hoax. But no, I think he'll be okay. But if he isn't, I was disappointed in a certain way. Some of the things that were said over the last day or two having to do with Zelensky, because when he considers Zelensky not credible, he's supposed to be making a deal with him, whether you like him or you don't like him. So I wasn't happy with that. But I think he's going to be good. And I certainly wouldn't want to put secondary tariffs on Russia, but if they were put on, it would not be very good for them. You know, we put secondary tariffs on, as you know, in Venezuela, and it's had a very strong impact on Venezuela. You know that every ship just got out and they left. A lot of them left. They dropped the hoses right into the ocean and they left. They didn't want to be there for a minute because they didn't want those tariffs to catch on, or they didn't want me to see them there. So Venezuela secondary tariffs, all secondary tariffs are very strong because essentially it says if you disobey our orders, you cannot do business in the United States of America, and that's the cash cow.
Will that apply to Chinese companies buying Russian oil as well, if you plan to go ahead with those?
So if, in the case of Venezuela, as you know, China pulled up anchor and left. They were there. They had 2 ships there, and they left They left empty. They didn't want to take a chance. No, we're not playing games. Okay, any other questions?
To clarify, are you planning to leave office January 20th, 2029, or are you saying you might not?
Go ahead, any other questions?
Question: his team surely understands that once goods are unaffordable, people are going to riot. They must have a plan for why they do the tariff shit. What if he subsidizes goods for the time being? I don't know. I think he maybe thinks that he can just like bully corporations to not raise their prices or something, without any sort of like legal restrictions such as like price caps or anything like that. Maybe he thinks that is what he can do. He can get away with. It's not a secret. It's not a secret that Americans, or at least like business owners, are like genuinely scared of Trump. They're already caving. Even the most woke, quote unquote woke, most liberal parts of American society, like college campuses, colleges in general, are caving to Donald Trump right now, with Columbia, with Harvard, all these places. Like, if they're not even putting up a fight, then business leaders are never going to put up a fight against Donald Trump. Yeah, I mean, he's saying this. This is what he's saying. He's going to tell the automakers to not raise their prices in response to tariffs. He's like, eat away at your profits. It's weird. It's a weird situation. And I've said this before, but it's like, Trump is the guy who could potentially get away with doing this, if that makes sense. He's the only guy I can think of that has like that level of motion and that level of threat power. I don't know if they'll follow through on it. I doubt it, but
legal scholars
who knows? Here, Trump's third term could actually happen.
Raising concerns after President Trump said he's considering a third term. The 22nd Amendment explicitly limits a president to 2 elected terms, or 10 years, saying, quote, no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice, and no person who has held the office of president or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term to which some other person was elected president shall be elected to the office of the president more than once. For more on that, let's bring in ABC contributor Kim Whaley, legal expert and professor at the University of Baltimore Law School. So, Kim, that was a lot of words that I just read, but break this down. Is there any wiggle room in here, in the language you see in the Constitution, for President Trump to seek a third term?
Well, Diane, there's always wiggle room for creative lawyers. And I think the argument is that the word elected to 2 terms maximum means literally elected, not served. So the argument he's saying is that he can serve more than 2 terms, so long as he's not elected at the top of the ticket. For example, if he is elected as a vice president, J.D. Vance as president could resign and he could move to the position of president. That's not being elected. The problem with that is the 12th Amendment says specifically that if someone's ineligible.
Bro, this is literally Erdogan shit. I'm not even kidding. Dude, Donald Trump, I think Donald Trump might be an Erdogan appreciator. Okay? This is straight up like 1-to-1. Oh my God. It's like Putin, Erdogan, Donald Trump. Okay? Putin is the guy who wrote the theory. Erdogan is the one who put it in application in the terms of praxis. And Donald Trump is making a shitty copy of it. It's crazy. This is, oh my God. How are people not recognizing what's going on, dude? It's like, this is the new method. I think, I talked about this before. I think they see China's rise and they learn the wrong lessons from it, right? At least in America, where they look at China and they're like, well, these guys have so much motion. They can do whatever they want. They have complete control over like the entire government. They can just build, miles and miles of high-speed rail if they choose to do so. Like no one can really say anything about it. And they look at that situation and their takeaway is just like the wrong lessons. Doors open. Hello? Hello? Yeah, doors open. Guys, groomers here.
Eligible to be president, they cannot be a vice president. But at the end of the day, this doesn't really hinge on what the Constitution says. It's more on, if the Republican Party decides to put him on the ballot on a state-by-state basis, who's going to stop that process. There's no mechanism. If Donald Trump is willing to push the boundaries of the Constitution, if the Republican Party doesn't come in and stop him, I think this is this is feasible. This could actually happen.
Now, many Trump allies, including Steve Bannon, have pointed to the Constitution not using the word consecutive when defining presidential terms. Is that a loophole?
I think that's a pretty weak argument. I mean, it doesn't say anything about it having to be consecutive terms. And if you think about it as well from an originalist standpoint, right, a conservative standpoint, and you think about why do we even have the 22nd Amendment? It was because Franklin Delano Roosevelt served 4 terms in office or was elected 4 times, and people from both parties didn't like that idea. There had been many attempts since the founding of the Constitution to put a cap on presidential terms, and they did that in 1951.
Now, just a few minutes ago, I asked Republican Congressman David Kustoff if he would support Trump serving a 3rd term. He didn't say yes, but he also didn't say no. What happens if the president tries any of these tactics?
Well, that interview I heard, and I think it's good news that he believes it would take a constitutional amendment to allow that. But if he got on the ballot, I don't know that the Supreme Court...
Good news. Good news that he still recognizes that there are legal hurdles that he must overcome instead of just bouldering through it, which he is inevitably going to do. Good news. You don't take Kai to a place to get groomed? No. Mobile groomer. He comes to me. How do people not connect the dots he was setting up? He isn't a Putin puppet. He's an admirer of how he constructed his dictatorship. I think that America looks to a country like China in general and realizes that it's virtually impossible to compete against a country that has that level of power and that level of motion. The part that they don't recognize, however, is that China is a ginormous country, much larger than the United States of America. How do they have this level of awesome power? It's not because of authoritarianism. It's because they also have been able to produce results for the Chinese people. And they don't understand that. They don't understand that at all. They do not comprehend this. Without high-speed rail, without rapid urbanization, without rapid development, without China becoming a competitive global superpower after a century of humiliation, they would have so much unimaginable instability. You cannot control 1 billion plus people by simply crushing their spirit. Okay? You have to do a carrot and the stick. If it's all stick, it's not going to work. And this is something that American leadership does not understand. They think, nah, just all stick, no carrot. It's fine. All stick, no carrot is India. Carrot and the stick is China. All stick, no carrot is India.
Court would kick him off. We saw this in the last election. I believe Section 3 of the 14th Amendment made him ineligible because of January 2021 and the insurrection. But the Supreme Court said, we're not going to stop the Republican Party from choosing who they want to be at the top of the ticket. So with lots of things that are happening with Donald Trump, the question is who...
Isn't there definitely authoritarian elements of the Chinese government, or am I being too biased? No, of course there are. That's why I said there's a carrot and a stick. Of course. First of all, every government is authoritarian. That's what governments do, okay? There are different ways of establishing, there's different mechanisms of establishing like whether or not something is appropriate in terms of rules and regulations. But of course the Chinese government is authoritarian as well. Of course. And in some ways it is more authoritarian than the United States of America. Okay? This is 100% correct. This is why I always say that there is a degree of censorship in China that does not exist or did not exist in the United States of America until recently, and America is moving in that direction. Instead of doing all the cool, fun, good things that the Chinese government has done, that plays a major role in the Chinese population's attitudes towards the government being relatively positive, regardless of the suppression of speech, for example. America refuses to do any of the benefits and only want to do the bad shit, only want to do the social repression. Yeah. It's ironic because anti-Chinese propaganda, for example, dictates that in China, if you say something about Xi Jinping, if you call him Winnie the Pooh, they come in and they disappear you, right? Like that's the claim, that like they will black bag you in the middle of the street. Plainclothes officers will come in and they'll fucking disappear you for writing, I don't know, an op-ed about how Xi Jinping is Winnie the Pooh or something, right? Meanwhile, we're doing that in America. The things that we claim they're doing in China, we are doing in America right now. At least when the Chinese government is like disappearing people for a little bit, it's guys like Jack Ma. The fuck? They're talking about you on MSNBC.
If Elon Musk truly wanted to cut down on fraud, he would stop paying that guy to play video games for him on his behalf. That's the only fraud that I've seen proven so far.
What's funny, he's actually been called out by that by a few people on social media.
Like, he's been
challenged by a few people
to the DOGE list.
Like, he's been challenged by a few people to play video games against him, and he hasn't taken anyone up on it because some people think that he's not the one that's actually playing.
Of course, I don't trust Elon Musk to handle anything with the word social in it.
Yeah, that's right. The challenge is here, baby. We've made it to MSNBC. Let's go. Their big issue is their 996 work schedule. I mean, that is one of the elements that demands reform. There's a bunch of stuff. There's like the what's it called? It's like an internal passport system. I forget the name of it now. Like when it's difficult for you to leave like a rural village, and then go and live in the hukou, whatever it's called. No, like that system is like fairly oppressive as well. Hukou, I don't know how to say it, but the point is like these are issues in a growing nation that has grown and become rapidly industrialized and has become a global superpower at an incredible speed. And they're working their way through it. Yes, I know 996 is ruled illegal in China. It doesn't fucking matter. I think something being technically illegal doesn't mean that it's like still not being turned a blind eye to. Yeah, and both 996 and hukou are two structures that are on the verge of reform regardless. But my point is there are still issues in China, of course, but these aren't issues that contribute to China being able to build the incredible industrial output that they've been able to do. That's not the reason. Like, it's not the hukou system that has like allowed them to be able to build high-speed rail or do rapid urbanization. So anyway, let's continue. I don't know why we're fucking talking about China again.
Who is going to stand in the way of what sounds like an extra constitutional agenda here?
All right, Kim Whaley, thank you.
Let's begin here, though. Breaking overnight, Iran's supreme leader issuing a new warning to the United States after President Trump threatened to bomb Tehran. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei warning that America will receive a strong blow if it acts on President Trump's threat over negotiations on a new nuclear deal. News Nation's Tom Dempsey has the latest from Washington. Tom, good morning to you. We're starting to really get a clearer picture here.
People like to justify America by critiquing China. It says a lot. I mean, yeah, it's just copium. You know what I mean? That's all it is. You have to have, in a way, it is no different than when an American needs, like a working class white man in an area that has been left behind, like West Virginia, needs to think about someone that's like lesser than they are in order to feel like they've been elevated, in order to feel like they're actually not in the worst possible position. And it's no different across the board. And it's the same principle behind why like Americans would be like, oh, why are so many people coming here then if it's so shitty? It's like, yeah, because other places are even shittier. But there's a reason why people from Norway aren't fucking coming here, okay? Even though Western Europe is also rapidly Americafying at an alarming rate, as America is becoming more Turkish at an alarming rate. Everything is just devolving. You know, Knut disagrees. Okay, come on, guys. You have one example. We're talking about mass migration patterns. As long as there's someone below them, they think they're doing better. Yeah, exactly. So all of the problems here, all of the problems that we have here that we could fix, that we have enough wealth to fix, we just don't have the motion and, and it's not going to happen through the magnanimous nature of the super wealthy that want to maintain their super profits. But all of those issues are You cast them aside. It doesn't matter. At least you're not Chinese. You know what I mean? Look at China. It's so much scarier, so much worse.
Of the president's plans to turn back the clock on Iran's nuclear program.
That's right. Good morning, Mark. Some big comments coming from President Donald Trump, who says that if Iran does not make a deal to rein in its nuclear program, the United States may resort to bombing the country. He made these comments during a recent interview with NBC News. Obviously, a lot of attention on this, with President Trump putting it bluntly, quote, if they don't make a deal, there will be bombing, and it will be bombing the likes of which they have never seen before. But Iran's own president says the country has no plans to directly negotiate with the United States, writing, quote, we don't avoid talks. It's the breach of promises that has been caused issues for us so far. They must prove that they can build trust. But President Trump made it clear over the weekend he will not back down.
And we're going to either have to talk and talk it out, or very bad things are going to happen to Iran. I would prefer.
Here, let's watch the full threat. Iran warns Trump over U.S. military threat. Bro, this is the other thing, bro. Other countries know how to do protests so much better than us. Like, whether it be Yemen or Iran, whether it's a pro-government protest or anti-government protest like in Turkey, or a pro-government protest in Iran, like they mobilize. They love this shit, bro. They do. Look at this. When you think about it, even Israel does protests. Israel is very American, you know? Israel is very America-coded. And yet, even in Israel, they got better protests than we do. It's crazy. It's because we got the treats. It's called walkable cities. I mean, there is that too. I think there is that too for sure. Speaking of protests, yes, I know there's a protest on Saturday in D.C. I will be there. I will be there. I will be there. I will be there. I know. I will be there. Some of the organizations actually reached out and asked if they want me to speak at the protest as well. I might do that potentially. I haven't figured out what I would say if I were to do such a thing, but I will be there. Khomeini said that the U.S. would receive a strong reciprocal blow in retaliation, but cast doubt on the likelihood of an attack from the U.S. Hold on, I'm going to read it. Nations around the world are angry and upset. And thus they know there are many issues and atrocities nations around the world are not even aware of. An anti-U.S. chants that you see in the streets of Europe and even in the United States stems from their limited knowledge. They would do more if they knew more. All I'm saying is this rogue group, Israel, must be eradicated from Palestine. The hostility from U.S. and Israel has always been there. They threaten to attack us, which we don't think is likely. Bro, the amount of words in Farsi that's like Dushmani's enemy. Devlet, I think. Did he say millet or devlet? I mean, yeah, it's just they get it mostly from Arabic, for the record. Arabic is the one that connects all of this. We have a lot of loan words. Yeah, dunya is an Arabic word. And I think it's in Hindi and Urdu as well. Hindi and Urdu is already like, don't get mad at me, but you know. It seems like the distinction between Ukrainian and Russian in terms of linguistic differences, you know? Okay, it feels like he's saying a lot more, you know what I mean, than just whatever the translation is saying. They will surely receive a strong reciprocal blow. I am a white Jewish boy ready to die for the Ayatollah. Shut the fuck up, dude. Yo, we got Jewish boys in America talking about how their Shia Islam is the light out here. This is crazy. Dude, you're going to get fucking deported. Isn't the Ayatollah Turkish Azeri? I don't know, maybe. I mean, potentially. I don't fucking know. I don't know his background. It's not surprising if he is, because there's hella Turks in Iran and like Turkic peoples of Azeri descendants. I've heard that like in Iran they have their memes are like Turks. Like they talk about how Turkish people, like Turks, are stupid. Like the light bulb memes that people make about like the Polish in Iran internally, from what I understand, it's about Turks. Fucking haters. Yeah. There are hella protests at MN University campuses today. Nice. I have heard that anyone who has ever existed as Turkish thoughts is true. All right, let's get back to Trump. Iran threatens strong blow against the U.S. if Trump attacks.
A deal to the other alternative, which I think everybody in this plane knows what that is. And that's not going to be pretty.
During his first term, President Trump pulled the United States out of a deal with Iran that put strict limits on Iran's nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. But concerns have grown about Iran developing a nuclear weapon. President Trump sent a letter to Iran's supreme leader pushing for a deal after the UN's nuclear watchdog group, the International Atomic Energy Agency, reported earlier this year that Iran has accelerated its production of near weapons-grade uranium. Now, Iran insists that its program is for peaceful purposes, but really adding a lot onto the tension right now, Marky, is recent United States strikes against Houthi targets, with the United States accusing Iran of providing money and weapons to the terrorist group.
Yeah,
Marky?
a lot on the line there. And in a similar vein, when it comes to geopolitical tensions, Tom, the president also appears to be losing his patience with Russian President Vladimir Putin. What's the latest in that relationship?
Why should any country not try to develop nukes? Any country that's outside of the 10 years ago, I would have said, why should any country outside of the American periphery not develop nukes? Now, the mentality extends to countries within the orbit of Western empire as well, considering the actions that the Trump administration has accelerated. Like it's crazy. Every country, if you don't have nukes, you are 100 million% free real estate for proxy wars between superpowers that do have nukes. Superpowers that have nukes don't want to fuck up the bag, so they war over other smaller nations that don't have nukes. Look at Ukraine. Because the more nukes, the more likely someone stupid will end the world. I know. I understand that. I think there should be no nukes. Yeah. I guess this is the part of the broadcast where I tell you that Greenland must immediately get nukes to the Inuit population of Greenland. Okay? Not nukes, okay? Put some nukes in nuke. It's time.
Well, so first off, President Trump saying he hopes to speak later this week over the phone with Russian President Vladimir Putin, but he once again really held nothing back, Mark. He's saying that he's, quote, pissed off with the Russian leader right now, and that's because of recent comments from Putin about how Ukraine should be put under control of other governments. The president has been pushing for a ceasefire, obviously, and says if Russia gets in the way of that happening, the U.S. will hit it with tariffs.
Certainly wouldn't want to put secondary tariffs on Russia, but if they were put on, it would not be very good for that. All second.
Dude, what can this? Okay, this is not a joke. I genuinely don't know what more they can do in terms of like blocking trade from Russia, unless they go directly to the secondary markets like India, or directly go to the recipients like the European countries and tell them you can't do anything anymore, or else we will cripple your economy. Because like, that's it. You already maxed out. I feel like we already maxed out under the Biden administration against like not tariffs, but sanctions. Like I was talking about this with my family as well, where it's like there is now this de-dollarization initiative taking place in ways that even I thought was laughable, where, you know, countries are trying to move away from the SWIFT structure because, you know, 80% of the global economy still runs on the dollar, and therefore America has awesome control over all trade, and it's probably its most powerful tool. Now, the reason why countries have been able to effectively move away from this is because they've been forced to. There is already an existing secondary market, because the reality of the matter is if you tariff or sanction everyone, then you technically are not sanctioning anyone but yourself, because all of a sudden you have shut off the rest of the global market from trading with you. This is a really interesting dynamic with America, because they have isolated themselves. We, America, we have isolated ourselves from the rest of the globe by doing this. If you sanction everyone, then technically the only person that is being sanctioned is you. So any kind of initiative to be able to move away from the SWIFT structure unironically stems from America's appetite for sanctions, and now this acceleration of tariffs as well, in terms of like ruining global trade that we've set up, that has allowed Americans to have low-cost treats for quite some time at the cost of the evisceration of the middle class, the evisceration of the manufacturing capabilities of the United States of America.
Their tariffs are very strong because essentially it says if you disobey our orders, you cannot do business in the United States of America. That's the cash cow.
Ukraine and Russia recently agreed to a partial and limited ceasefire, stopping attacks.
Yeah. The U.S. government, isolationist imperialism going super well. The U.S. government is on an international egg hunt, seeking exports from countries in Europe and elsewhere to ease the severe shortage that has caused egg prices at grocery stores to hit record highs. Yeah. They're begging Turkey to send as many eggs as possible. It's, once again, a self-owned, by the way, through and through, okay? You gut the safety measures that were put in place by eviscerating the HHS, FDA, and the federal regulatory bodies. And then, understandably, for one reason or another, there's a massive flu, okay? There's a massive avian flu, which rips through your poultry production, which rips through your egg production, while you're simultaneously saying you're going to dominate the planet with your restrictive trade and cripple other countries' economies because you think it'll benefit America in the long run. Like, what the fuck? What do you expect is the outcome? Trump is so incompetent, he's making a modern triarchy in Asia. I know. I already talked about this. I already tweeted about this, but he is JD Pondon, dude. Whether deliberate or unintentional, my goat, my king, doing JD Pondon once again. China, Japan, and South Korea agree to jointly respond to U.S. tariffs, dude. That is crazy. Till now, I didn't realize the reference, and it makes it so much funnier. JD Pondon is meant to mock the stupidity and incompetence of Trump and his government, implying that he could only be making such terrible decisions like tariffing America's biggest trading partners if he was a secret communist agent who was trying to destroy the United States from within and bring about a JD Pond. Permanent first world genocide. I do not care about the American ruling class. I only care about destroying the American working class. The Treatlerites will scream bloody murder. The suburbs will cry. It is I, JD Pondon. A blue check mark finally got the joke. Yeah. He's a Maoist third worldist, dude. That's it. He's a Maoist third worldist doing permanent first world genocide. The greater East Asian Crow prosperity sphere is back. Yeah, I don't like that Matt Iglesias is starting to recognize the Chinese century of prosperity. I hate that. It really does hurt my soul a little bit. It's honestly very funny that literally up until this very moment, Matt thought we were just a few good zoning regulations away from leading the next century. For the first time in my life, I really just think America may be cooked and it's going to be the Chinese century. First of all, here's the other side of this story. I think maybe not Trump, but people around Donald Trump have recognized the writing on the wall that this is the Chinese century of prosperity. I think a lot of what Donald Trump is trying to do is manage the decline of American empire to the best of their ability by behaving in this belligerent manner. I think they're making a mistake over and over again, but I think they recognize that as well. I mean, his main guy is Navarro. His main anti-Chinese guy is a dude who has spent the last 3 decades crying about how China is going to gut American manufacturing and it's already too late and we have to do something about it. They're going to dominate. They're going to dominate over and over and over again. Like, a lot of people are stupid, but even stupid people can sometimes recognize the truth. And that's Trump's main, trade czar, kind of. Giving him too much credit, my guy? No, I'm not giving Trump credit. I'm giving people in Trump's orbit credit to a certain degree. I'm still very critical, but I think Trump, or at least those in his orbit, think that this is the way out. I think it's wrong, and I think it only accelerates Chinese dominance. They are mismanaging the U.S. decline. Instead of negotiating this decline with the upcoming superpower, they are, perhaps racistly, because of their Orientalist framework, okay?
You mentioned
they are operating on an Orientalist framework still, where they think that they can behave in this belligerent manner and dominate our allies, our trade partners, to get a better deal out of them before everything falls apart. That's what I think is happening. But it is funny. I wonder if all of those people that have been yelling at me nonstop for saying, I don't think China is going to fall apart tomorrow for the past decade at this point, almost, at least half of a decade, will they turn around and eat crow? Will they turn around and say, Hassan, maybe you were right about your prediction on where things were headed? Now that Matty Iglesias is on board, perhaps all of those liberals will start to recognize the truth. Who knows? Anyway, this is basically how the UK thought of themselves like they were 100 years ago when they did Brexit. The UK needs the EU and the US, needs China and the world. I mean, it was looking kind of shaky during the pandemic. No, the fuck it wasn't. If you thought China was looking shaky during the pandemic, you don't understand. First of all, the superpower that China has is central command. Okay? Centralized control implies that it is quite difficult for a nation state with that much power, with that much manufacturing capability to ever fall apart. One of the best examples of that is to look at the way that the real estate bubble popped in China. The evergreen fiasco where everyone kept saying like, it's over, it's done, it's over, China is done tomorrow. Look at this evergreen shit, it's crazy. I think, and I'm being very sincere when I say this, I think that one of the issues with respect to Western analysts and why they consistently are wrong on China is that they assume that the Chinese government operates with our principles in mind. That's how you arrive at the ghost cities phenomena, right? You're like, why are they building these cities? Oh, it's probably just to, get a blip in their GDP. They will never fill them. It's like, no, dude, they're building them to fill the cities. But it's like impossible to contend with if you're an American, because you're like, this doesn't make sense from a market perspective. This doesn't make sense at all. What the fuck? That's it. That right there should give you, if you are even remotely critical, okay, if you are even a little bit curious, you're a little bit intelligent, you would understand that right there, long-standing anti-Chinese propaganda in the Western world, in all of these academic circles, that should have eviscerated your knowledge on China. That should have completely destroyed the way you analyze China. It should have been a moment where every Western academic goes, okay, maybe they don't have the same exact mentality that we do. And we still do it. Here in the Western world, we still do this. We still operate on this boundary. We'll go, high-speed rail is unprofitable. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, yes, dude, they don't give a fuck. They don't care. They don't care. They just build shit. They don't care. You are stupid for thinking that the profit incentive is the most significant reason why there is any sort of development whatsoever. They don't care because they understand it's a jobs program. They understand that it actually yields bounties many decades past the point of developing these places, because that's what America did. There was a point in time when America did this as well. Look at the New Deal. They're doing a New Deal every day in China, and we're like, what about the profits? It doesn't make sense. It's like, yeah, maybe they don't give a shit. Maybe they don't care about short-term profits. Have you ever comprehended that? Have you ever thought that might be the reason? But we have no way of seeing the world outside of these horse blinders that even the smartest academics in the best institutions in the West, ones that literally directly collaborate with Chinese academics as well, they just cannot comprehend that another country doesn't operate on the same liberal capitalist boundaries that we operate on, with the same motivations that we have, even though there is already an existing version of that in the Western world, in the United States of America. Look at the fucking USPS. Look at the highway system. None of that is profitable, but it has to exist, right? But if you were to listen to some of our best and brightest, right, in these institutions, they want to fucking gut those programs too. They want to destroy them as well and make them profitable as well. And it's so stupid. It's just Omega Cope at this point. And plenty of people will wash themselves away with as much cope as they possibly can to still think like, no, like from a private enterprise profiteer perspective, China is a failure. It sucks. It's awful. Not realizing that perhaps there is, a long-term prosperity in mind with the decisions that the Chinese government makes.
The Black Sea and on energy facilities, but that has not stopped the war at all, with Kharkiv, the second largest city in Ukraine, being targeted over the weekend. And President Trump also had some words for Ukraine, warning it that if it does pull out of a rare earth minerals deal with the United States,
Are toll highways uniquely American? No, I'm sure. No, not at all. Other countries have that too. I think China has toll highways too. China is also, ironically enough, out of all of our like foreign adversaries, China is closer to American culture than any other country. I say this all the time. People don't understand. Like, Chinese people love cars, okay? They have public transit, but they have hella cars too. They are so American coded. I say this all the time. They love commodity consumption. They have a lot of Amerifat brain rot as well. They love their cars. They love the high status luxury indicators. Yeah.
Ukraine will have, quote, big problems.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to
They think Trader Joe's bags are designer. No, that's everyone else. That's not just China. That's like French people too. That literally is like everywhere outside of America. Trader Joe's bags are like a high status indicator, because that means you've been able to fly to the United States of America and acquire one. That's not just like China specific. Yeah, it shocked me as well. Like even in Western Europe, they think Trader Joe's bags are fire, because that means you were able to, fly to the United States of America and go to a Trader Joe's. You will never be able to understand this. You will never be able to understand this. The only reason why I'm able to understand it is because I too was fascinated by the endless bounty inside of an average American grocery store. When I was growing up in Turkey and I would visit America, it was a treat. I still enjoy going to CVS or Walgreens or American grocery stores. Fucking awesome. Yes, it is probably one of America's most important cultural landmarks, okay? Ironically enough. Anyway, Trump accuses Zelensky of trying to back out of the rare earth minerals deal. Rare earth!
Deadline for Russian President Vladimir Putin? Is there a deadline for Russian President Vladimir Putin to agree to a ceasefire?
It's a psychological deadline. If I think they're tapping us along, I will not be happy about it.
Do you think they are right now?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think he wants to make a deal. And I think Zelensky, by the way, I see he's trying to back out of the rare earth deal. And if he does that, he's got some problems, big problems. We made a deal on rare earth, and now he's saying, well, I want to renegotiate the deal. He wants to be a member of NATO. Well, he was never going to be a member of NATO. He understands that. So if he's looking to renegotiate.
Again, raw honesty here.
President.
Shocking revelations coming from Donald Trump. Only shocking if you're, only shocking if you're oblivious. Only shocking if you've gotten a healthy dose of liberal propaganda. You're like, what? I can't believe it. How is he saying these things? What do you mean they're never going to join NATO? It's like if you thought that Biden for even a brief moment was entertaining the notion sincerely behind closed doors that, what do you call it? They were going to let Ukraine into NATO. You were wrong. Okay. You have been duped, my friends. And I told you this over and over again. And for that reason, everyone kept saying, Hassan, you love Vladipoo. You love Adolf Hitler. You are the biggest fan of Adolf Hitler. Yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, please don't listen to Hassan. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Listen to me instead. Guy who's wrong all the time, but at least he's wrong in the direction of the American State Department and the American mainstream press. So you don't really understand that he's wrong until things happen like this. And you go, wait, how could I have been so off base with this analysis? Well, maybe you should think long and hard on that.
Trump's belligerent remarks over the weekend have only served to increase anxiety here, and it's entirely unnecessary. The Americans had 10,000 troops here and several bases at the height of the Cold War, and the Danish government and Greenlandic politicians have been completely clear that if the Americans are concerned about the Russian and Chinese threat, they could build that force up again. As for the people here in Greenland, well, they are scared. They live a traditional way of life. Now, in the story we're about to show, you're going to see a picture of a seal, which is dead. That is the traditional life here, hunting and fishing. People don't want to lose that way of life.
We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it.
Surely the world's largest island, an autonomous territory within Denmark, and a fine piece of seafront real estate must be on the market for the right price.
Trump says he wants to buy us like we were a common prostitute. I'm sorry to say that, but I got so angry. I think it's so disrespectful to the Inuit people of Greenland to be treating us this way, to walk in like we are
See, if a liberal administration was overseeing the potential annexation of Greenland, and don't say that that would never happen under a liberal administration, this would be the exact opposite. Okay, U.S. aid-backed, U.S. aid-subsidized NGOs would be on the ground, desperate to find any like gay Inuits they can to build civil society organizations. This takes time. You can't just like come in. You can't just come in and be like, that's it, I'm taking it. Greenland is mine. It's mine. It's not even green. They lied. We're going to take it and we're going to turn it into Whiteland. Why do they call it Greenland? There's no green. It's all white. You can't fucking raw dog imperialism like that. You have to do a delicate. You have to do a delicate touch. You have to be like, these people desperately want to be saved from the colonial occupation of Denmark. We must focus on indigenous rights. We must focus on indigenous sovereignty in Greenland. Indigenous Greenlanders are on the side of American annexation. America will liberate Greenland from the treacherous grips of Danish colonial occupation. Like that is how they're supposed to do it. But these guys are so horny that they're basically like, nope, we're taking it. We're taking it. What are you going to do about it? No foreplay, dude. No foreplay.
Educated, unknowing people who are primitive and would fall for whatever flash they were supposed to come with.
And this land has added value. Beneath the snow and ice lie 43 of the 50 minerals and metals deemed by the US government critical for modern technology.
They said it bluntly, why they're interested in Greenland, like critical mineral resources and also trading routes that are emerging due to climate change. So Greenland is smack in the middle of it. So it's a very geostrategic position for business, but also security.
It's not just the fishermen who've noticed the ice melting earlier each year. Russia and China are also increasing their Arctic presence. But only the US has threatened to take Greenland. Seal hunting is a way of life. The boats may be better now, but this is a lifestyle that's passed down through the generations. Change is gradual here. A combination of fishing, tourism, and a subsidy from the Danish government is what keeps Greenland going as it tries to modernize but retain its traditional culture at the same time. Now Greenlanders say they feel caught. They have a complicated relationship with Denmark, the colonial power, and most people I've been speaking to say they see American behavior as threatening. Sunday morning, and nothing disturbs the peace in Nuuk. When Danish missionaries brought Christianity to Greenland in the 18th century, they tried to suppress Inuit culture. These days, Greenlanders are free to practice their customs, but even though Greenland has self-rule, some resentment remains.
I was in elementary school. We have segregated classes for Danish people and Greenlandic people. So there was segregation still, especially before all of this happened. Nobody in Denmark, basically, especially in the governments, in the political parties, but also the general sentiment, the majority don't really want to accept they have been a colonial power.
But some say in this crisis it's time to forget the old bitterness.
I trust Denmark because they have ratified treaties in the UN, like the treaties for indigenous people and preserving our culture. And I trust them also because they have always done right by us when they had to. And whenever we have had problems, whenever we had economical problems and such, Denmark has actually come to our aid.
This weekend's annual dog sledding championship was partly funded by the US government, a classic use of soft power. But President Trump has refused to rule out...
The machinations were set in motion far before J.D. Pondon ever came in. That is how the empire operates. That is how the empire operates, okay? U.S. aid, baby. You got to ease into it. How else can you dominate the entire planet with, again, 800 military bases? 800 military bases not being considered 800 different military invasions is a testament to the soft power capabilities of American empire. And yet, Donald Trump, J.D. Pondon, J.D. Pond freaking Dom, baby, trying to gut that superpower status desperately.
Using hard power. The cannons on a Danish warship in Nuuk Harbor no longer fire. As a member of NATO, Denmark always thought the US would be part of Greenland's defense, while Greenlanders have been aspiring for independence.
We haven't been an independent nation, but we're already tasked with dealing with high-intensive, day-to-day twists of international politics that we have to say something about.
No, it's not time for independence. We don't have the economy for it, and of course we don't have the military for it either. And we never will have a military for that.
Just 57,000 Greenlanders live on a vast snow-covered land. The US could have cooperated with Denmark and Greenland to build up its military presence here back to Cold War levels. But Greenland, like Panama and Canada, is part of Donald Trump's plan to dominate the Western Hemisphere, whether the people who live here like it or not.
Now we're going to turn to this week's...
All right, before we get into Elon Musk, let's talk about Le Pen, also known as Le Pen, Marine Le Pen, embezzling funds. How dare she? Sacre bleu! What the fuck is going on? Le Pen. Okay, I have a unique take on this because on the one hand, I understand why, I understand why they're doing this, and there's certainly good reason. Like it's legal, right? You can find a legal justification. If your attitude is similar to mine, where you think everyone is fucking corrupt, then you can always find corruption levers to pull to destroy your political enemies. Okay? The Democrats were too cowardly to do this to Donald Trump. They only pulled on some of the corruption levers, and Teflon Don survived it. The other side of this is the overall vibes that I worry about, which is that Macron kind of did this against Mélenchon already in different ways. He, by just outwardly refusing to go along with pre-established precedents and did everything in his power to not appoint to not appoint leadership from the winning coalition, right? And now he's doing it to the far right. He didn't jail or attempt to jail Mélenchon or anything like that, but he's trying to manage this process to the best of his ability by using whichever legal means is in his power. And I think that this is to a certain degree a change in the attitude in Western liberal democracies. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm a little bit too hyperbolic, but I do feel like some things are shifting.
The worst possible outcome for Marine Le Pen, her political future thrown into doubt. Visibly upset, the French far-right leader left a Paris court without waiting to hear her full sentence. A judge barred her from holding public office for 5 years, likely crushing the National Rally leader's ambitions for the next election in 2027. One of her co-accused said the verdict was a travesty.
It's the first time in 40 or 50 years that I've seen this in black and white. It's absolutely unbelievable, and we will resist.
8 other former National Rally MEPs and 12 assistants were convicted over what the prosecution called a decades-long fake job scheme in the European Parliament. They were accused of misusing more than $3 million of EU funds to finance the party in France. Le Pen served as an MEP for 13 years until 2017. Prosecutors said she oversaw the system.
During the 3 months of hearings, there was a systematic denial of what had happened in those years. And I am convinced that the court took this attitude of denial into account by saying, since you are in total denial, well, the court considers there's a risk of recidivism.
The court also handed Le Pen a 4-year prison sentence, with 2 years suspended and 2 to be served outside of jail with an electronic bracelet or under house arrest.
That's crazy.
The judge also said the ban on her...
Is hubris, in my opinion, liberalism can't defeat the far right? Yeah. I think that the bastion of liberal democracy is never the United States of America, but instead was like countries like France, Western Europe, and the liberal democratic project is so fucking done. It's so done. Am I saying that she didn't do the things that they're saying she did? Yeah, I'm not saying that at all. I'm sure that there is embezzlement or whatever, but it does feel like is a hollow crime for a higher purpose, and the higher purpose is to effectively remove her from the running. Which is interesting because I don't even think, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't even think she was supposed to be the person that's like, I mean, she's like the symbolic leader at this point, right? Isn't it supposed to be the young guy that would be running anyway? It's not, it's law in France if you do this kind of crimes. She was still, instead of Bardella, it was going to be her running. She got 4 years for being freaking fugly with 2 years time served. How dare you, M. Hunt? I disagree. That's a beautiful lady, okay? Yowza, what a woman. Sorry, I've been reading too much Brace on Twitter. She's never going to prison, just like Sarkozy. This is a victory, however. Now the right and the far right is going to try to destroy the current justice system that's already pretty favorable to right-wing politicians.
Running for public office is effective immediately. Le Pen's lawyer said she'd appeal, but any appeal would almost certainly not be heard in time for her to run in 2 years.
It is totally, absolutely incredible. There is a form of criminalization of the defense that I personally find extremely scandalous.
Marine Le Pen has long wanted to be France's first far-right president. She's run for the Elysee 3 times.
This is low-key kind of Chinese. I'll say it. Inside of the party structure in China, there are billionaires. All billionaires are a part of the party, okay? But then there are billionaires who speak out of turn, okay? And then if your attitude is that all billionaires, whether they're a part of the party or not, are engaging in some semblance of corruption, you just pull that corruption lever real quick and go, Chinese prosperity time. And I think this is what's going on here as well, which is, but it's instead it's being done for liberalism, at the behest of maintaining liberalism as the hegemonic hegemonic attitude, as a form of governance. What I mean by this is, I'm certain that like a lot of these people engage in some kind of corruption if you search deep enough. Okay? It's just that pulling this lever implies that you're doing it, I think, for a political purpose, what the Republicans would call lawfare, right? In a way that is not dissimilar to the Democratic Party. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time is an understandable position that everyone has, myself included, right? But if crime is technically legal in the sense that it's not prosecuted, and you are utilizing the prosecution against people that you have seen as dangerous political enemies, then yeah, it does feel like this is. Why are you against prosecuting people who do crimes just because they're on a ballot? No, my point is, what do you mean pulling this lever? Macron had no way to pull any lever on this. I'm not even talking about Macron directly. I think like there's an overall attitude. The levers that Macron pulled directly was against Mélenchon. But I think that there is like an idea within the EU where they are also afraid of the growing fascist movements, and they want to do everything they can to just like suppress it, which is not the worst thing. It's not the worst idea. Make no mistake. I don't think that there is a. I want liberals and leftists to actively resist and try to stop this kind of movement from blowing up. I fear, however, that this will be seen as lawfare, because to a certain degree it is lawfare, and in that regard, it will only strengthen the opposition's position, and especially since like. Through one way or another, there's also similar forms of suppression or undemocratic positions that the Macron government has taken against the coalition that won the last election, that they will inevitably strengthen the right while simultaneously not strengthening the left in a way that it can combat the right. Because I truly believe the only way to oppose the growth of the reactionary movement all around Western Europe and liberal capitalist nations is through allowing socialist opposition to build momentum. Are you saying Garland and the Dems were right to do nothing about Trump? No, I'm saying that the Democratic Party going after Donald Trump, well, also, by the way, the Democrats literally did a similar thing to Donald Trump, and look where that got look at the situation in America. Trump is Teflon Don. All those cases are done now. Hello? Like, that is precisely what I hope doesn't happen in France. What do they say? If you come with the king, you best not miss. You know? It's kind of like that. So I do understand why people like Yanis Varoufakis are saying this is stupid and frivolous. Yanis Varoufakis writes for Unheard, Marine Le Pen election ban is ludicrous. I think that suppressing the far right in this way without actively presenting an alternative populist left-leaning, leftist, socialist solution to it is only delaying the growth of the radicalized movement for a short period of time. That's what I think. And a similar situation is already taken place, but with the ideologies reversed almost, where the liberal opposition is being suppressed in Turkey by the conservative, reactionary, right-wing government. And it's also, again, with complete and utter nonsensical bullshit reasons. The notion that we are calling into question, the notion that the Erdogan administration is calling into question the authenticity of his diploma. When the motherfucker went to school, like, it's crazy. He went to school. You can see he went to school for 4 years and got his fucking diploma. It's ridiculous. Like, there are people that saw him at school, right? By saying, well, it's a constitutional provision that you have to have a real diploma, and we're forcing the administration to take away his diploma because we've decided that it was gotten through illicit means and it's fake. While simultaneously Erdogan himself, his diploma is in dispute, and it's like a known secret basically in Turkey that he doesn't really have a real diploma. It's very funny. It's technically within the legal framework, right? But ultimately the utilization of the law in this way is to suppress popular opposition. Do I hate that? If it was a socialist administration doing it, I wouldn't necessarily hate it all that much, because my assumption would be that a socialist administration would have also cleaned out that corruption that is ever present in every other aspect of and in all of the other parties as well. Giannis was claiming that the EU liberals are rebelling against Erdogan's persecution of Imamoglu, which is bullshit. British Labour Party didn't even make a statement. They're very happy about it. Yeah, The idea that like liberal leadership is actually criticizing Erdogan is very funny. That's not real. That's not happening. That's precisely the reason why he's doing it. This is one of your worst takes, in my opinion. Wait, what? No, I don't agree with Giannis if he has said that like liberal leadership is saying something about Erdogan. They are at most like writing the gentlest note of all time with no pushback whatsoever. And the reasons for that is because Erdogan is playing ball on foreign policy. They have grand designs for the Middle East, and Erdogan is a very important piece of that puzzle. And he is playing along. He is playing along with the grand design that America and Western forces have alongside Israel in the region. Look at Syria. I've said it before. It was the perfect opportunity for him to completely stamp out his charismatic and very popular figurehead for the opposition movement that if there was an election that took place tomorrow would unseat Recep Tayyip Erdogan, right? This is precisely the reason why Western powers they're not really talking about the situation. Under different circumstances, they would be screaming bloody murder. 90 million strong, wants to come into the EU, a country that's behaving in this like insane autocratic way. Are you kidding me? These guys are supposed to be the bastion of liberal democracy. These are supposed to be the defenders of liberal democracy. The former well-established global order is done. It's completely fallen apart. And I think people like Yanis Varoufakis, if they genuinely think that Western liberals are criticizing Turkey, they're a little wrong. I hate to say it. Kemal Büyükyüksel says, you're absolutely right to oppose political bans on principle. Weaponizing the judiciary to eliminate political opponents is always dangerous and, as you noted, often counterproductive. But in this case, the comparison between France and Turkey is misleading. Equating the two also plays in the hands of those hoping to justify what is happening in Turkey. Le Pen had a years-long legal process with access to defense, appeals, and no pretrial detention. She is not jailed. Her sentence is open to appeal. She ran the presidential elections in the past. Imamoglu, on the other hand, was arrested in Turkey without an indictment. The charges are vague, based on classified financial documents selectively leaked to pro-government media. The judiciary, media, and security forces acted in coordination after he became the most powerful democratic opposition figure in the country. This guy is 100% correct, by the way. This is not law as the law. This is the Lula playbook. Remove the popular democratic opposition candidate through a legal facade to protect authoritarian power with the tacit approval of Western countries. So yes, we must condemn all forms of judicialized politics as counterproductive, but we must also distinguish between flawed democracies and outright authoritarianism. What happened in France deserves scrutiny. What's happening in Turkey is much darker and different. Yeah, I think that's a very good take from Kemal Büyükyüksel. Lula playbook is what was done to Lula. The Bolsonaro playbook would have been a better way to explain it. But what was done to Lula is what he is saying. Lawfare and utilization of the judicial process in a country where every single person is being corrupt to a certain degree, hyper-focusing on your political enemies and making a mountain out of a molehill, right, is precisely what happened to Lula. Ironically enough, that kind of lawfare can inevitably flip back on you for good reason, too. I think what Lula's administration has done so far against Bolsonaro is perfectly warranted, perfectly valid. I mean, because they're not going after Bolsonaro for no reason. They're going after him because he did a fucking January 6th. It was unsuccessful, but they tried it, you know? The fuck? Yeah, go into the Lulag with you. But yeah, the pragmatic take is trying to jail the leading candidate. Only embezzlement of a few million euros is not going to result in the restoration of liberal democracy and trust. No, I think it unironically is the final blow. I think it is the final blow against like when countries like Germany say the International Court of Justice or the International Criminal Court and its authority in terms of serving arrest warrants will not be followed by Germany, it's over. Throw the whole court out. You know what I mean? You have said the international rule-based order is done. And this is kind of similar to that in the sense that, like, this is the final nail in the coffin of the liberal capitalist administrative state. This isn't to say that this is not a valid lawsuit. It is. But the way I see it is like, if corruption is always, if corruption is ever present across the board, then pulling on this corruption lever without much larger, much more severe claims, I think is done in a way where there will be a lot of inevitable backlash, especially when you don't pair that up with a viable coalition that is able to politically, with popular mobilization, defeat the growth of the far right. So we shall see. Varoufakis told Unheard that the charges against Le Pen were laughable and ludicrous, and that to make them a jailable offense, also a reason to bar her from running in the presidential election, was mind-boggling. He added, "It really worries me that the liberal establishment is doing its utmost to strengthen the appeal of the neo-fascist right in Europe. Either the law applies to everyone or applies to no one. The Economist has previously criticized the electoral ban of Romania's right-wing presidential frontrunner, Georgescu, labeling the decision preposterous. Today, he compared the ban with the RN politician's conviction, stating, the Romanian case was the dress rehearsal. Now they've moved on to Le Pen. Tomorrow, they'll go after Jean-Luc Mélenchon." Another point of comparison for Varoufakis was the ongoing political crisis in Turkey, where Recep Tayyip Erdogan's imprisonment of his main political rival, Istanbul Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, has provoked widespread protests against the government. Erdogan is laughing his head off as he's watching this descent into the abyss of totalitarianism by European Union. Because how can they disabuse him of what he has done, which is exactly the same? Like İmamoğlu, Le Pen is consistently polled as the most likely winner of the next presidential election, even with her political rivals condemned today's verdict, with Eric Coquerel of the left-wing La France Insoumise saying, "I don't agree that things that should be decided by the ballot box are being decided by la court. It will only paint the National Rally as a victim." Varoufakis agreed with this assessment, posting on social media this afternoon that France's neo-fascists will only benefit from this. I do fear that they will, by the way. This will give them an opportunity to mobilize once again and claim lawfare and feel like they are, feel like they're being persecuted. Insoumise, my bad, sorry. Insoumise. Varoufakis stressed that I think Le Pen is a fascist personally. I'd like to see her be destroyed politically. At the same time, in his view, lawfare has been disproportionately waged against the outer right because the left has disappeared. The Greek politician compared Le Pen's treatment to the means used by the Democratic Party against Donald Trump, only the French are doing it in a more obvious, less defensible way than the American Democrats. Varoufakis, who attacked the attempted shutdown of the National Conservatism Conference in Brussels last year as a farcical authoritarianism. So you had the same issues with the Trump trials? No, I did not. I did not have the same issues with the Trump trials. I was actively in support of the Trump trials. Well, some of them I wasn't as on board with because I thought it was like silly shit. My biggest argument against Donald Trump or the trials that the Democrats, the Democratic DOJ implemented was that they found an incredibly narrow angle of attack against Donald Trump, where the incredible narrow angle of attack against Donald Trump was done in a way where it would not be used against. It was not precedent setting to be used against other politicians if successful, where like no other politician that's running for office is going to do paperwork shit in the same way, in the dumbest ways possible to like, you know, offer hush money to a porn star and then have that be considered a felony in the state of New York. Like these are things that you can only hit Trump on, right? But there were totally valid ones, like the January 6th committee, as you know, even though the liberal focus on it was like hyper specific, or no, sorry, it was hysterical. The January 6th case, which had the most motion, which is precisely the reason why they expertly fucking pushed it back till after the election, and now it's completely dropped, was unironically the one that was valid. That was valid. That was the one that had the most motion. The RICO in Georgia also, I was excited for because it was going to be televised because it's a state one. So, yeah, it was a major fumble because because liberals care about institutions and the preservation of institutions in the funniest ways possible, they couldn't even find themselves pushing for these court cases to continue. And they were able to launch a mountain of paperwork, motion after motion. The Trump side was able to do so by using those institutions against them, all the rules within the due process against them. And look where it's at now. It's gone. It's done. That's why I say, you come at the king, you best not miss. Having said that, I think that I don't fully agree with Yanis Varoufakis, even though I understand where he's coming from. I understand where what his worries are, which is that, you know, these are the last bastions of liberal democracy and liberal democratic principles, and I think the overall vibes are kind of fucked. You know what I mean? Varoufakis, who attacked the attempt to shut down a national conservatism conference in Brussels last year as a farcical authoritarianism, highlighted a 2016 guilty verdict for Christine Lagarde on similar charges to Le Pen. Also in a French court, she kept her job as the head of the International Monetary Fund and has since become president of the European Central Bank. Nobody has made a peep about her previous conviction. Varoufakis observed today, I have zero trust in the capacity of the judiciary to act as a judiciary in France and more broadly. Yeah. LFI agrees with Yanis because Mélenchon is next, and Yanis is correct when he says Mélenchon is next. And that is part of the reason why I'm saying that these kinds of actions are I think, the center trying to figure out any way to maintain its power. If centrist liberals truly cared about destroying the right-wing shift in their own countries, if they truly cared about combating fascism, they would not try to strong-arm the left populist momentum in the same exact ways, or in different ways, like in the way that Macron did. So while on the one hand, fuck yeah, put the fascist in jail, it's awesome. On the other hand, I still worry that this will galvanize the opposition and only feed into that momentum, and we'll see what takes place. Yeah, the far right wouldn't hesitate to join with the right to target the left. We should destroy the right when we can. There's no solidarity with fascists. No, I agree. I agree with you. I'm saying that, like, on its face, this is great. I'm thinking in long term. I think in the long term, this is not great. And I think in the long term, it will blow back in the same ways that the Democratic Party's lack of momentum against lawfare, against, Recep Tayyip Trump-Doan was, I mean, we know what happened there. I mean, look, he's the fucking president now, and he's ripping apart everything.
Times and twice been runner-up to Emmanuel Macron, but President Macron cannot run again. And for many supporters, they believe that 2027 was going to be Le Pen's moment.
You are fuming. Justice is independent in France. Corruption gets punished. Sarkozy was convinced as well. Convicted, you mean, yeah.
Moment, and so did she. At National Rally headquarters, Le Pen and party members.
If they had put Trump in prison in 2022, he wouldn't have been president today? Yeah, no, that's my point. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You come with the king, you best not miss. Because if you fumble it, you're fucked. I know. That's my argument. That's precisely what I'm saying. That's the point.
Gathered, including her most likely.
Actually, America is different because, like, you could still run from jail. I think Americans are far too. Americans would have been, they're not voting for a dude in jail, though. I don't think in the numbers necessary to win an election.
Successor Jordan Bardella.
But you can still run from prison in the United States of America, for the record. You can't in France, I guess, or if you're jailed, you can't run for president. But
at 29, Bardella is far from having the experience and stature of his mentor, but he is untainted by a trial that has shaken his party and severely damaged one of France's most famous politicians. Natasha Butler, Al Jazeera, Paris.
Well, leaders in France and abroad have been reacting to Le Pen's ban. The left-wing leader Jean-Luc Mélenchon says the decision to remove a political leader should be up to voters. Laurent Wauquiez of France's right-wing Republicans says it's not healthy in a democracy to stop an elected official from standing in elections. Right-wing leaders abroad have also criticised the move. Hungary's President Viktor Orban expressed his support for Le Pen.
I am Marine. Okay, put her in extra jail. Never mind. I take it back. I take back everything. Put this motherfucker in jail too. When's he gonna get his, Today I am Marine. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Pen on the social media platform X with the words, I am Marine.
God, fucking soy right is so real. Soy right, dude. The new battle lines are being drawn against dark woke forces against the soy right.
Philippe Deveul is an attorney. He says
it's all computer. I am Marine.
Ban on Le Pen running for public office for 5 years is anti-democratic.
The problem with execution provisoire, provisory execution, if I can translate in English, that even if she makes this appeal, she can run for any kind of election in France, to the parliament or even to the presidential election coming soon in 2027. That is the most difficult point of this judgment, of this verdict of the court. And I think it's a kind of injury of the French democracy, because there is a fight by this decision. There is a fight between the authority of the justice and between the popular sovereignty. The popular sovereignty, it's the decision of the people by election. I think the people will join more the national rally or all the party which are contesting the system. And I think it's the starting of a kind of a political revolution, this decision. It's not a little thing. It's a very important starting for what is going, the agenda, political agenda in France. And we can see that a lot of politicians, even from left side, are criticizing this decision.
Also, people that point to Sarkozy, maybe I'm wrong about this, but wasn't the Sarkozy trial after? It wasn't a way to impede him from running again. Yeah. So that's it's like still ongoing. So it did impede him. No, I'm saying like he was already done. It was over. Like his political ambitions were gone anyway. It's more so that like it was a prosecution. It was a prosecution that was conducted not in an effort, not at a time when like he has political momentum, but instead after. Yeah, it's more so consequences. I mean, you could say the same thing about Le Pen too. I just don't think it's a correct comparison. Marine lost 3 times in a row. She should be over. She's grown in popularity every single time, so it's not over until it's completely over. DSK was blocked for being a sexual criminal. He was the favorite candidate for presidency before Hollande. If you have this opinion, then the issue is not the decision, it is the law that they voted. What? I don't believe the judiciary system is controlled by Macronists. It gets nothing to Macron. Le Pen has already stepped back from political prominence. Then again, I get it that it may have been an overzealous move by liberal established prosecutors and judges. Yeah, no, I think that's what it is. I think a lot of people are genuinely, understandably terrified. Liberals are legitimately worried about the growth of fascists in Europe, and they're trying to do whatever the fuck they can because they look at Trump. I think what's going on is they look to America, they saw what the fuck the Democrats did and how they flubbed it, and they're like, we can't let that happen here, so we got to move now. And I worry that because liberals ultimately still push for process and they're procedure perverts, that might end up with the lawfare that they're doing failing spectacularly. Having said that, I don't know what kind of motion the nationalists have outside of Le Pen. Like, she's seen as like a singular figure that you can rally around, but whoever replaces her, if this is successful, might not be as well established. So we shall see. They use the term illiberalism, unliberalism now in Europe when they talk about Trump and co, which is interesting. Yeah. She was the one advocating pretty vocally for this kind of sentence for politicians committing fraud. No, I understand all of that, okay? It's not a move now thing. It's a 10-year-old procedure that Le Pen herself did everything to delay. Wait, the court case was established 10 years ago? Like they've been investigating for 10 years and only now they have enough evidence? Apparently she also walked out of the court case before they sentenced her or something. Mélenchon is wise to take a stance against this. He can peel off some of Le Pen's supporters. Well, I think also Mélenchon is worried about a similar thing happening to him. And every party in France has the same court case as their ass. I worry that a similar thing will happen to him as well. When ironically enough, if liberals were truly smart about whether it's the independent judiciary or whether it is Macron, if they truly cared about not preserving the capitalist status quo and preserving liberal democracy as it stands, but instead utilizing the popular mobilization and the momentum that people have on the left side of the ticket, further left than Macron, they would unleash that momentum upon the French population while simultaneously doing everything in their power to fucking suppress the far right. My fear is that they won't do that, and there will be even more there will be even more mobilization against it, against the center in general, and the far right will inevitably win. That's my fear. I don't know if that's the case, but directionally, in terms of policy, Macron himself has moved to the right and tried to adopt a lot of the right-wing populist messaging, whether it is because he is personally a racist piece of shit, which I do think he is, that for the record, or because he cynically thinks that this will allow him to capture the attention of the far right, which has been able to develop its base and grow in power. So we'll see. We'll see where this goes. But Godspeed, because I think fascism is ultimately something beyond the normal permissible boundaries of liberal democracy. Just like socialism is, okay? Not on a moral equivalency shit here, but I'm saying that like fascism, while directionally is restoring the capitalist order, it's still completely outside of that, the boundaries of protecting liberal values that on paper, in theory, that like liberals are supposed to care about, because it's an exterminationist policy inherently. That's what it is at its heart. It's not about fixing the economy or anything like that. It's about a rigid application of law and order in an effort to combat any kind of movement against the decaying material conditions and against the instability born out of liberal capitalism. So for that reason, for that purpose, I am truly fearful of the growth of fascist movements all around Europe, alongside the obvious capture of power here in the United States of America. And therefore, I think you got to do everything you can to combat the growth of fascism in every country, including the pre-existing judiciary, if that's what it takes. But without any sort of alternative, Rob Rousseau, thank you for the raid. Hope you had a good stream. Without any sort of alternative set in place, liberalism is not going to be able to thrive. Liberalism is not going, like, you can't have an authoritarian liberal governance and think that, you know, as long as the liberals are the ones doing the far right policies, like, we'll be fine because they still care about the core process. Like, that is destined for failure. That is destined for an inevitable fascist authoritarian to take over. That is what has happened throughout history. Like, you can't do fucking, you can't do woke fascism, okay? It's fucking stupid. I mean, look at Israel. Yeah, if you want to understand what like liberal authoritarianism has gotten a country, a nation state, especially with like a very active, very much alive, constant group of people that must be exterminated at all costs, Israel or Nazi Germany.
We're going to turn to this week's high-stakes election for a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Elon Musk and his allies are spending millions of dollars on the race, which is drawing national...
Anyway, let's move on. I don't know. I'm sorry for being cynical, guys. I want to celebrate Le Pen being Le Pen because she's awful. She's an awful right-wing reactionary fascist who, if given the levers of power, would absolutely do infinitely worse shit than what these liberal judges are doing right now to anyone and everyone. It's the same principle behind liberals constantly saying, well, there's free speech towards Nazis. Like, we got to let them into the table. They want to do free speech. And it's like, they don't care about free speech. Look at the Trump administration. They don't give a fuck about free speech, dog. So I worry that this might, explode.
Attention. Our senior political correspondent, Rachel Scott, is tracking the latest in Green Bay. Good morning, Rachel.
Michael, good morning to you. And these races are traditionally nonpartisan, but Democrats and Republicans are calling this the most consequential election since President Trump took office, a political litmus test for his agenda.
What do you think of my hat?
Le Pen went to the trial denying everything while weirdly claiming it's not illegal to steal public fund anyway. She fucked around with the judge and found out it has nothing to do with some political decision. No party but the Social Democrats are fine with this court decision. I want to... Okay. I keep saying I'm moving on from this because we're going to talk about the fucking lamest version of fascism that has ever existed. This fucking dildo over here. But like I said, just lawfare without building up momentum against the far right, and the only way to counter far right populism is with real left economic populism. Without that key factor, all you're doing is repeating a stay of execution. You're just like pushing the inevitable demise of liberal capitalism into the hands of authoritarian fascists, maybe a decade, maybe 5 years, maybe 4 years down the line. That's it. Anyway, here is Elon Musk.
Overnight, the president's most powerful advisor, Elon Musk, taking the stage at a Wisconsin town hall wearing a cheese hat.
But let me first hand out 2 $1 million checks in appreciation.
Handing out $1 million checks to those who signed his political group, America PAC's petition against, quote, activist judges, with just 1 day until the state's Supreme Court election. The closely watched race between conservative Waukesha County Judge Brad Schimmel and liberal Dane County Judge Susan Crawford, a test of the political power of Musk and a barometer about how voters are feeling about President Trump's second term. The outcome of Tuesday's race will determine control of the state's high court. That could impact future rulings on abortion rights and Wisconsin's congressional map, which could shake up control of Congress.
That is why it is so significant. And whichever party controls the House, it to a significant degree controls the country, which then steers the course of Western civilization.
The president won here by less than 30,000 votes. Over the weekend, touting his support for the conservative candidate Schimmel, calling him conservative, strong, and above all sane. But Democrats and the candidate they are backing have seized on Musk's outside role.
This is really unprecedented to have the richest man in the world wade into a state Supreme Court race and spend that kind of money. That's never happened before.
And this is already shaping up to be the most expensive judicial race. Democrats did try to block Elon Musk from handing out those $1 million checks that was ultimately rejected by the state Supreme Court, George.
Okay, Rachel.
America Votes 2025 coverage now. In about 2.5 days until polls open on Election Day. Early voting has ended and all eyes are now turning to battleground Wisconsin once again. Lots of attention on the state Supreme Court race between liberal Judge Susan Crawford from Dane County and conservative Judge Brad Schimmel from Waukesha County.
Stop coming.
And on the legal battle that is shaping up after State Attorney General Josh Kaul sued billionaire Elon Musk and his America PAC for offering money to voters who signed a petition.
You know what's one of the funniest things that Elon Musk did, by the way, when he went on this like stupid ass thing, when he's like doing the whole I'm going to give money to random people if you go out and vote, which is questionable on its ethics and questionable on whether or not it is illegal, even though he won a court case in Pennsylvania for doing just this, because technically it's not a lottery system, but instead it's pre-selected. It's not random. And by the way, the fact that it's not random is the reason why he's able to do this, or at least was the reason why he was able to win the Pennsylvania court case. What is funny about this, on the other hand, is that he has been consistently crying about, one, George Soros, and two, paid protesters. And it's yet another instance where he is literally doing the thing that he is yelling about. He is doing, this is finally, I retweeted one of Warren Gunnels' tweets, by the way, earlier this morning. They are literally paid protesters. Like Elon says that. Warren responds, dude, you donate over $270 million to Trump, and now you're running the government. You're literally handing out $100 bills and $1 million sweepstakes to buy a judge in Wisconsin. People are protesting because they're sick of you firing veterans and destroying Social Security. It's so funny.
Yeah, kiss mine, pal. Go back to Mexico. I respect your point of view. Oh. I respect your point of view. Yeah, say across the border, Pedro. I respect your point of view.
Oh, sick. Just also no arguments, just racism. No argument, just racism. Yeah, Pedro, go back to Mexico.
Yeah, we don't respect yours because yours is nothing. They have no point of view. They say we don't want Social Security. We do. We don't like vets. We do. They're nothing but a...
Yeah. So, he's not paying protesters. He's encouraging people to vote. Yeah, totally. Easiest money you ever made. You don't even need to be from Wisconsin. You just need to get people in the state to hold a picture of Team Schimmel, can be on the phone, device, or paper in one hand, and go thumbs up with the other hand. Every time you do that, you get $20, and they get $20. The goal is to build awareness about the election tomorrow. So this offer applies today and tomorrow. This is literally paid. Dude, this is what they say George Soros is doing. And to be fair, does George Soros operate a massive network of liberal society organizations? He does, okay? Does he pay every fucking protester? Of course not. This is flagrantly what they say George Soros is doing. When they lie about what George Soros is doing, they're doing it. It's so funny. I don't understand. Like, how? What the fuck? What do you mean? What's the difference? Is it because Elon is not Jewish? Is that what it is? Because I cannot see any real difference here between what they claim George Soros is doing and what Elon Musk is actually doing right now. What the hell? Yeah, because George Soros would pay for a socialist org to call a national march on DC. We actually have to finance ourselves. I know. Look, I am not a fan of George Soros, okay? I'm not exactly a fan of any billionaire, and definitely not George Soros either. It does, however, feel like the only reason why they just say George Soros, unironically, is because he's Jewish. Like, what the fuck? And even on like the Jewish billionaire front, you got more motion on fucking Miriam Adelson. Like, Miriam Adelson directly has had a straightforward impact. The Adelsons have had straightforward impact on American foreign policy under Trump in ways that no one could have ever imagined, okay? Like, singularly, because Trump is so open about his transparent graft, where he's just like, oh, you give me $100 million? Yeah, I'll throw in Golan Heights in the package for you. And it's not like this is a Jewish conspiracy. This is just something that Trump has admitted to doing. And ironically, a combating anti-Semitism seminar before he won the election, where he just straight up went in front of a crowd of Omega Zionists and said, if I don't win the election, it's because of you Jews. And then also said, remember when the Adelsons gave me money? That's why I did the embassy. That's why I did the Abraham Accords. And I threw in Golan Heights as a sweetener. They didn't even ask for Golan Heights. I threw it in. He openly said it. It's like, this is not, I don't know. This is just not even it's not even a conspiracy. It's just like, what you see is what you get. Donald Trump can't shut his fucking mouth. So I don't know. I just, even on the front of Jewish billionaires controlling American politics or whatever, when they talk about George Soros, they just like single him out. When in fact, like, Republicans dominate this space in every front. Look at this. Here are the 2025 Wisconsin Supreme Court race expenditures. Billionaire donations to the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. Elon Musk through PACs, Diane Hendricks, Elizabeth Ulian, George Soros. No motion. This is what I'm saying. George Soros has no fucking motion, dude. 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans. I'm losing my mind. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Elon Musk alone has single-handedly outspent every other fucking billionaire combined. And this dumb fuck is still going, oh, less Republicans. I've had multiple people try and destroy your image in friends groups because of what Cutie Cinderella says. And I've done my best, but it's not good enough. I need help. What are you saying? Why does Cutie Cinderella hate you? I've had multiple girlies ask me to explain it and I have no answer. What do you say to girls who get alienated by Cutie Cinderella? What? Is this like a unique kind of girl autism? Like, what are we talking about? Cutie Cinderella is my friend and my co-host and a co-owner of the podcast that we co-own in a cooperative together. When Cutie Cinderella says, I hate Hassan, she doesn't actually fucking hate me. What the hell is going on? Do you think that like meme beef is real. What? Yeah. The best part about this is Cutie Cinderella's going to see this and then double down and be like, no, I actually hate him. And then all of the girlies are going to fucking be like, yeah, you see, I don't believe it. Sometimes it's important for your friends to recognize not what people say, but instead what people do. People who don't want you misreading inside jokes between you because they don't know either of you at all. Yeah. But even then they should maybe think, well, if this person truly hates this other person, then they probably wouldn't have a podcast together, you know? Like, what the fuck? This is Gen Alpha? Maybe. Are you going to watch Dr. Mike anti-vax video by chance? No, I'm not. I know you are friends with her, but her influence stretches beyond the podcast. What? What are you saying? Her influence stretches beyond the podcast. You think in decades. Cutie Cinderella thinks in centuries. Her influence stretches beyond the bounds of your meager podcast. It is obvious to me and to those with eyes that can see. There is real friction between you and Cutie Cinderella. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, ask your friends why we still have a podcast if she fucking hates me. Anyway, Elon Soros, baby. Here it is, by the way. In a video posted by Elon Musk PAC, 1 million check recipient link voting to receiving the money. My name is Ekaterina Deisler. I did exactly what Elon Musk told everyone to do. Sign the petition, refer friends and family, vote, and now I have $1 million.
My name is Ekaterina Deisler. I'm from Green Bay, Wisconsin. I did exactly what Elon Musk told everyone to do. Sign the petition, refer friends and family, vote, and now I have $1 million.
Yeah, I think she's like a Republican Republican operative, from what I understand.
An opposition of so-called activist judges. It all started early yesterday morning when Musk posted on X that he would be coming to Wisconsin to give a talk and give out $1 million checks to 2 people. That post has since been deleted. And yesterday, Musk clarified his post with a new one saying only voters who signed that petition would be invited to his event and eligible for one of those $1 million checks. He says the money is for people that he selects as spokespeople for his petition. State Attorney General Josh Kaul and a liberal law firm filed an injunction saying these payments are breaking Wisconsin's election bribery laws. Yesterday afternoon, the case got assigned to candidate Judge Susan Crawford, but she recused herself and it was reassigned to a Columbia County judge. He rejected Kaul's injunction, so Kaul immediately appealed to the state appeals court. And that brings us to this afternoon when the appeals court denied Kaul's appeal. This means Musk is allowed to offer the payments, and Musk will still have that town hall in Green Bay tomorrow night at 6:30. Both Crawford and Schimmel, who Musk has endorsed, weighed in on all of Musk's influence during campaign stops earlier today.
We have more than doubled the contributions from Wisconsinites to my campaign, and obviously thousands of contributions in smaller amounts from people outside the state of Wisconsin who really care about our judiciary and want to make sure that somebody like Elon Musk is not able to wade into a state judicial election and buy a seat on a state Supreme Court.
This is about restoring objectivity to this court. It's about stopping activist judges from changing our state from the bench instead of from the legislature like it's supposed to be. He's helping to deliver that message. I appreciate that.
Kaylee Starl joins us live in studio right now. And Kaylee, you spent the afternoon.
What does Elon want out of this result? Easy. Elon Musk is Donald Trump's attack dog. And as long as Elon has Twitter and can use Twitter for Donald Trump, as long as Elon Musk has his billions and he can use them to primary Republicans that speak out of turn or even unseat Democrats potentially, this is a testing ground for him. If he can show that he can change the outcome of this race for an entire state, mind you, then he can prove his worth to Donald Trump. And he can continue doing whatever the fuck he wants to the federal government, and Trump will keep defending him. If he loses, if the Republican loses this race, then he takes a major hit This should be motivation alone for the drama in and of itself. If you don't care about at least having some semblance of a state judiciary that will protect your rights and liberties, okay, and it's not the end all be all, but like it's still much better than having a right-wing dominated state Supreme Court. If all of that stuff is not important to you, then remember, Elon Musk is a major piece of shit. And if he loses this race, then that puts him in bad standing with Donald Trump, which will inevitably yield tremendous amounts of drama. Okay? Tremendous amounts of drama, because Trump hates losers more than anything else. Ally, enemy, doesn't matter. He fucking can't stand losers. Okay? He's like, you're a loser. I'm cutting you off. You're done. You're done. Bye-bye. Now imagine if he did a you're a loser, bye-bye to Elon Musk. Oh my God, that fucking battle would be epic. That would be incredible.
Afternoon, talking to voters about this ruling and Musk's involvement. What are they saying?
Well, Ryan, with less than 3 days until election night, many voters are wondering if Musk's involvement will be a positive or a negative in this race for state Supreme Court. So I spent the day talking to voters at a Schimmel event like Jarrell and Chuck, as well as voters downtown like Meredith, who shared their thoughts.
3 days, 2 candidates, and $1 million. That's the latest number voters are wrapping their heads around in the race for state Supreme Court. Billionaire Elon Musk, who endorsed Judge Brad Schimmel, offering $100 to people for signing a petition against, quote, activist judges, and now $1 million to 2 people speaking at a rally Sunday night in Green Bay.
My wife and I both filled it out, including my son, my sister, and brother-in-law, and it's awesome.
Chuck Kornowski signed the petition.
We did also. Did you get the check yet?
And is waiting for his $100 check in the mail.
Gets people motivated. It really does. It is a good idea. Yeah. I really feel it is.
Not everyone thought the same. Attorney General Josh Kaul tried to block the payments, first filing a lawsuit, then appealing to the Wisconsin Court of Appeals. On Saturday, court officials denied his emergency request, which allows Musk to continue offering the payments.
Get into the minds of the younger people and speak to them and get them to come out, come to the rallies, sign petitions, and become greater Americans, I guess you could say, then yeah, I'm definitely on board with that.
People like Meredith worry Musk's money might sway the vote.
Getting people out there to vote is important, certainly, but I don't know how I feel about billionaires, bribing people to sign petitions and, paying their way into an election.
Whether you sign the petition or not, voters tell me this election is bigger than just a Supreme Court seat.
This race with Brad Schimmel will save the entire country.
This is a very high stakes election, not just for Wisconsin, but I think for the country as a whole.
And according to WisPolitics, a record $90 million has been spent on this race. And Musk, again, holding an event here in Wisconsin tomorrow night. Entrance is limited to those who have signed that petition, and we'll have team coverage there as election night approaches on Tuesday. Ryan.
All right, Kaylee, thank you.
As you may have seen with stuff that we've posted on the DOGE.gov website and the Doge handle on the X platform, there is a tremendous amount of waste and fraud in the federal government. Like, shocking, really. It's insane. Yeah. It's really wild. So, it was inevitable that at least a few Soros operatives would be in the audience. Give my regards.
Bro, you are George Soros. George Soros is nothing compared to you. You are literally George Soros. What are you talking about? Oh, George Soros operatives in the audience. Yeah. Yeah, George Soros operatives everywhere, dude. There are George Soros operatives for all with eyes to see, okay? They're everywhere, dude. They're everywhere. All the time. He's such a lame-ass loser, man. It is crazy how big of a goddamn loser he is. Oh, my God.
To George. Say hi to George from me. USA. USA.
Yeah, George Soros operatives at the Dave Chappelle show. George Soros operatives in Italy. George Soros operatives in Germany and all these European countries where they're like burning Teslas and shit. They're everywhere, it seems. Dude, the entire European continent despises this man. It is so funny. every European liberal has like endless amounts of smoke for this dude. And for that, I just have, normally I've shit on European libs in general, but goddamn, I have so much solidarity with the European libs who despise this douchebag, okay? Maybe at a certain point, you're just a despicable person and people hate you, you know? Maybe it's not all paid protesters. What? Oh yeah, remember, oh my God. Technically, it was 90% cheers and 10% booze, except during quiet periods. But still, that's a lot of booze, which is a first for me in real life, frequent on Twitter. It's almost as if I've offended. Nereye gidiyorsun baba? Evet, hay üçte. Biliyorum, alırım içeri, boş ver sen. It's almost as if I've offended SF's unhinged leftists, but nah, yeah, dude, unhinged leftists of the Dave Chappelle show. Like they came in, they came in to see Dave Chappelle, big dog. It's crazy.
I mean, it was inevitable that at least a few Soros operatives would be in the audience. Give my regards to George. Say hi to George from me. USA, USA, USA, USA. Yep. I mean, it was inevitable. I was waiting for that one. So, I mean, yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I mean, isn't it shocking how much violence and hatred is coming from the left?
Oh, isn't it shocking? Meanwhile, I want to kill everybody. Meanwhile, my administration that I'm working for is deporting random people who are working with children with autism. That's not violent, of course. It's all leftist violence. Isn't it shocking, the leftist violence? When someone put the gum on the Tesla? That's the real violence. Not the fucking, not the mass deportation. Oh, isn't it shocking, the leftist violence? I hate him. I hate him so much. Oh my God. There's nothing funnier than a crowd of people also chanting about Tesla's getting dicks drawn on them or getting keyed. You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, you're right. Meanwhile, they're the ones who would be like, you're gay as fuck if you own an electric vehicle. Not your best accent, King, but the energy is there. No, with Elon Musk, he's one of the dudes who just like pisses me off so much that I can't even get it together to do a good accent. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, he is so uniquely frustrating and such a, dışarıdaki kapıyı diyorsun. SNL would hire you to play him? Yeah, the hatred gets in the way of me doing a good accent.
I mean, isn't it supposed to be the party that they claim to be the party of empathy?
Yeah, oh my God. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Oh my God.
And yet they're burning Teslas and shooting up dealerships and calling for the death of the president and me. I'm like, guys, you know, this is insane. Like, they're.
You know what it is? It's the fucking. It's just how uncharismatic he is that pisses me off, because I think of like all of the dumb fucks that go, nah, he's great. He's so cool. He's so charismatic. Like, that's what pisses me off about it. Because like, at least with Trump, he's telegenic. You know, he's zesty. He's funny. He's got like a penchant for drama. He has an appreciation of the arts. Whereas with Elon, there's nothing there. He is a perfect demonstration that as long as you say the words, these dumb fucks on the right will go, hell yeah, Mr. President, we love you. Do you understand what is so frustrating about it? He's not even trying hard enough. He's not even trying to be good or cool or likable. It is the most transparent version of just what you see is what you get. All you got to do is say the right things. That to me is terrifying about the future prospects of this country. If you can get a group of people to believe this man is charismatic and has their best interests, you can get them to believe anything. A group of people that sit around and go, this guy's awesome, this guy's brilliant, this guy is heaven sent, they will believe everything. They will believe anything you put in front of them. It's just total slop consuming morons. Understand? I think it skipped the video because of refresh.
Yeah, I mean,
No, isn't it shocking how much violence? Oh, Elon Musk. Son on his controversial decisions. Wait, what? Oh, fucking.
Hey, nice shirt.
Oh, thank you. First of all, path of exile for life. But more important.
That's an Asmongold fan. 100p. First of all, path of exile for life. Okay.
As we see, the whole world has turned to a fear-based mobilization effort. And we've seen that translate into violence. And the right's not immune to it because it can hit everybody's psychology.
Sure.
How do we beat that with optimism? Because that's going to be crucial to avoid mass eruption of conflict.
Yeah, I mean, there does seem to be, you're right that the right is not immune from sort of hate and violence. It's not like nothing, but it does seem weirdly heavily weighted towards the left. I mean, like, I haven't seen anyone tearing off like a Biden-Harris hat. Like, we're just like, you feel a bit sorry for them, like, oh, maybe they're wrong there, you know. But you see people tearing off MAGA hats. And someone just, you know, I saw a video just today where somebody was just on an escalator, a woman was on an escalator wearing a MAGA hat, and someone going the other direction tore the hat off her head. And I'm like, what? That's rude, you know. In fact, I sort of find myself in a strange position because I didn't think of myself as right. I thought myself.
Is he talking about that fake ass video? That was the fakest video of all time that I saw on my Twitter timeline this morning of the lady going down an escalator with a Trump hat and then the other lady being like, yo, bitch, I hate you and everything that Trump stands for. Someone sent me the video. It's so awesome. So amazing. Where is someone please send me the video? Yes. Democrats are completely unhinged, says real James Woods. This is literally like, this is like a child, okay? When you're a child and you like draw something and then you're afraid of your own drawing. Like you invented a reality and that invention in your own mind scared you shitless, okay? Amazing.
Democrats are completely unhinged.
Woman! You're a woman!
Democrats are
just the fakest shit. Just the fakest shit of all time. Yeah! Oh, it's so awesome. It's so funny. Dude, people are so fucking stupid. Oh my God. Republicans are so dumb. If you believe this, you should not be able to drive. If you watch this clip and you go, this is exactly what's happening. This is exactly what the Democrats are doing all the time. You should unironically not be able to vote or drive, okay? Like, I love randomly filming escalators.
Democrats are completely unhinged.
And punching in and perfectly staying on camera. I love being able to frame a totally random fucking meet cute in the middle of the day, perfectly in frame.
Democrats are
Oh, bro, how do you know it's fake? Come on, man. Get debated. Okay, shut up. Yeah. I love bringing my gimbal, okay, strapped to my chest, strapped to the camera, and just randomly filming escalators on the pure random happenstance where a super turbo liberal is going up the escalator and a patriotic American lover is going down the escalator at the same exact moment. And then I go, oh, opportunity arised. Let me zoom in
completely
as the action is taking place.
Woman! You're a woman! What the hell is this?
Yeah. It's so wonderful that the Republican MAGA patriot conservative was also leaning on this side of the escalator so that the turbo libtard could actually pull it off without falling.
Democrats are completely unhinged.
Tizzy Ant confirmation. These videos are posted to the account of the older woman Democrat. She posts a ton of stage skits like this. She keeps doing the MAGA assault videos though because you dumb fucks keep falling for it. You're clearly not on escalator talk. Yeah. Yeah. You see, the left is so violent. It happens on every escalator. No need to stage. Dude, Americans have become so stupid across the board that like believing this is the equivalent of believing a Darman video. Okay. It's like watching a Darman video and going, oh my God, I learned such valuable lessons, actually. It's like thinking movies are real. What the fuck is going on? I feel like they're trying to make the left look mentally unwell to justify deportation. Brother, this is not a deliberate, sophisticated effort to manufacture consent. Because it's not sophisticated at all. It's very obviously a fucking sketch. Hello? This is literally like thinking Marvel movies are in real life, like it's historical fiction or something. And it's not even, oh my God, it's not even as entertaining or as intelligent as like a Hollywood production either. It's just like very blunt. It's working though? Yes, because Americans have gotten dumber and dumber at an alarming rate. So yes. That video and believing that video is the equivalent of thinking Johnny Sins is a fucking astronaut and a doctor and a carpenter and a plumber at the same goddamn time. You are so stupid. I don't know how to deal with you. I don't know how to talk to you. We are not living on the same fucking planet. What is going on?
So as centrist, but then the left went all the other direction, and now everyone's a Nazi, you know, before you know it. And I'm like, wait a second. Do you know what that means? Obviously not. So,
dude, it should be okay. It should be illegal to make this dude do a tight five. I think no free speech, no free speech allowed. Actually, I want to say all of these dumb, unwashed hogs deserve this fucking loser because they think personally that he's brilliant. He sneaked you in, by the way, Unc. What? What do you mean? No, he didn't do that.
But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I believe in peaceful discourse and that, you know, we make arguments.
Why are they still trying to maintain this position that they're like beholden to logic and reasoning? Like that's like old hat shit. That's Ben Shapiro shit.
Arguments and the people decide which way they want to go. But we don't engage in sort of shouting people down or violence or burning things or shooting things.
It's so, dude, virtually every single instance of domestic terror since 9/11 has been done by the far right. Okay? Almost all of it. Like with very, very few exceptions. The overwhelming majority of mass shootings, the overwhelming majority of school shootings, the overwhelming majority, damn near the entirety of failed presidential assassinations in this election cycle were either former Trump supporters or registered Republicans. What are we talking about? Even fucking Ryan Ruth was a former MAGA guy. It is not an accident that the entire right-wing project is predicated on unlimited violence to their enemies. So of course, yes, the right wing is infinitely more violent. I like that the maximum violence that has taken place, that is now being branded as terrorism, is drawing a dick on a fucking Tesla or literally putting a gum on a Tesla. Okay? Sticking a gum on a Tesla. Someone is charged for that right now. It's crazy. What happened to Ryan? He's gone, dude. He's gone. He's lost. He's gone but not forgotten. Yeah, a Florida woman slapped with felony charge for vandalizing Tesla with large wad of chewing gum. Report. A Florida woman was charged with a felony after allegedly smacking a large wad of chewing gum onto a Tesla, causing nearly $3,000 worth of damage, according to the Sunshine State authorities. Yamiris Marrero was initially charged with a felony criminal mischief for the sticky antics, which were captured on the car's built-in cameras. The act of vandalism reportedly caused a bubble-sized $2,623 in damage in the mechanism of the electric car's door handle. Oh my God, a wad of bubble gum causes the car to not. Oh my God, these cars are such dog shit. The owner of the vehicle told local News 10 that he felt he was being gummished due to, unfortunately, a divide in our country where certain views are not accepted by a subset, referencing Tesla founder Elon Musk's controversial role in the Trump administration. Cops cuffed Marrero after a mall security guard spotted her in the food court on Thursday, according to a police report obtained by the outlet. Marrero was reportedly stuck in police custody on $2,005 bond as of Friday. What is this video? Alien-like sea creatures keep washing up on the beaches? What the fuck is New York Post, man? New York Post is not real news.
That's how democracy is supposed to work. It's peaceful discourse. Welcome to hang out and see maybe some questions people like to see. We'll go.
Hi, Elon. I also am a teacher. I was a teacher in Colorado for 8 years, high school Spanish. But I moved here last year and got to vote in Wisconsin, where my vote actually mattered, and I'm so glad. That was amazing that we got Trump elected.
Yeah.
And I was listening to, I believe it was Patrick Bet-David. He called this perfectly, where he said, when Trump gets elected, he's going to go from enemy number one to Elon's going to be number one. And
this guy was a teacher with a valuetainment podcast. He's a valuetainment enjoyer, myself included, obviously. I am the number one valuetainment defender. But this motherfucker was a teacher? Bro, he can't even speak. What is happening?
For the reason, I mean, he only has a couple years left. And we've all seen the left go after you and make you number one enemy. And just walking in here, we heard Nazis suck. There's all this horrible thing. And just on a serious note, I just want to let you know, my wife and I pray for you at night.
My lordship, the other peasantry is not... My lordship, the other peasantry do not respect that you are divine, that you are heaven sent. All you want to do is what's best for us, my lord. When the fortress gates closed last time, as the enemies pillaged our land, I knew you would have had the opportunity to bring me into your fortress, but didn't do so because you wanted to protect something more important, my lord. Love I have for you, my lordship, kind sir, is undeniable. Sire, and I pray for you every night. My wife for you, my lord. Prima nocta, your grace, your divine presence with your mangled penis inside of my wife will only give us but a fraction of the divine. The left has his own form of praying gooning. Yes. Please take my wife, me lordship.
Thank you for your safety.
More of that consent manufacturing against the left right here, dog. I don't know how you always seem to misunderstand me when you respond to my chats and think I'm some dumb hog. No, man, this isn't like a deliberate attempt. Manufacturing consent is a carefully crafted narrative that is motivated by the invisible motivations of people trying to fucking elevate themselves. This, on the other hand, is a dumb hog. I'm not saying you're a dumb hog. I'm saying this guy's a dumb hog. He's not. This is what he truly believes as a direct consequence of consent that was manufactured prior.
I gotta watch my hand gestures these days, you know. Yeah. But I think this one's safe, you know. You know, it's like can't wave to the crowd. You know?
The woke left wants to talk about everything. Ha! The woke left has stopped me from sig heiling. What the fuck? You can't have a sig heil anymore. Well, because the woke left, they say you're a Nazi for doing that.
Let's return to the US now, because
I also don't like Elon's dad at all, and I fucking think he's a grimy opportunist and is almost entirely responsible for the fucked up monster that Elon Musk has become. So I don't like all of these like oppositional pieces that that place him in the crosshairs, to put him on like a pedestal almost. Like he's just a also evil dude. He also looks evil too, but that's besides the point. Yeah, he is gross. Yeah, Elon's dad married his stepdaughter. Like, it's just not a good guy. I don't care. I'm not even going to listen to what he has to say about Elon.
Supposed to work. It's peaceful discourse.
My question is about U.S. aid. Has the DOGE team found any evidence that any of the radical left Democrats like Maxine Waters, Adam Schiff, Chuck Schumer have received money directly from USAID? And if so, will we be hearing about that evidence anytime soon?
Yeah. So
yeah, let's watch him answer this with a real answer and not a totally made up nonsensical position. Because every single thing that Doge has come out with, stating that they're doing, you know, saving America, I don't know, cutting fucking funds so that there's no more transgender Sesame Street in Iraq or whatever the fuck they claim they're doing. has been just a lie. It's either completely embellished or just lying. They either move numbers around to make it seem like they're cutting shit, or they just fucking lie. So there's no reason. Sesame Seed. I said Sesame Street. Shut up. I corrected myself. Okay. Minor mistake. I recognize he said something wrong. Streamer said the wrong thing. Lamau. Lamau, lamau, lamau.
There is a massive amount of corruption, but it is circuitous. So what happens is there's money that, obviously it's your taxpayer money, that is then sent to various government organizations who then send it to NGOs, which an NGO is a non-governmental organization, but obviously if it's a government-funded non-governmental organization, it's just an organization, it's just a government. And effectively there's a giant fraud loophole, which is that the government can send money to an NGO that is then no longer governed by the laws of the United States. So they'll send the money overseas to one NGO, then they'll go through a bunch of them, and then I'm highly confident that a bunch of that money then comes back to the United States and lands in the pockets of the people you just mentioned. But it is a circuitous route. It's not like it doesn't go directly, but let's just say that there's a lot of strangely wealthy members of Congress where I just can't, I'm trying to connect the dots of how did they become rich while earning, how'd they get 20 million if they're earning 200,000 a year? It sounds, that's nobody can explain that. So something's, yeah, we're going to try to figure it out and certainly stop it from happening.
Yeah, I think, I think it's right in their face. This is the same level of mania that I saw at Trump rallies where they would like claim that Trump was like super sexy and super hot, where it's like such an obvious thing that is not the reality that you can, it's so outside of the bounds of observable reality that you've completely lost the plot. I would always point to that to say like, this is the final stage of mania. When you look at a guy like Donald Trump, who's just disgusting. Okay. And you go, he's so fucking sexy. If you think he's sexy, you're lost. Okay. There's no way that we can save you. And the same goes for the wealthiest person on the planet, paying people to go to a room, paying people to try and change the outcome of an election directly, overtly paying people, okay, to try and change the outcome of a state Supreme Court election, talking about like wealthy elites that are dominating politics. Like, if you can't realize that you are the rube right now that's being paid to do this, as a rube, you don't recognize the irony of the guy saying that, you're lost. It's weirdly enough not dissimilar to the stan culture shit, where there is entire populations of content creators whose fans just have decided I am the greatest evil person of all time for things that I have not done, but only because like that is what their content creator demands. That kind of hatred is what their content creator demands. And it's just like, they might even agree with me on a number of different issues, if not the entirety of my perspective, but charitability is gone. So they just can't see it at all. They cannot see the world outside of this lens where like, no, he is super evil guy. I agree. I feel like Elon merges stan culture with political mobilization in that regard. And it's crazy because like, how the fuck do you stand this guy? I don't even understand. Like, there is nothing there to stand. It's just pure wealth worship. That's all it is. He is the manifestation of endless amounts of wealth inequality personified. You can even show people the longer clip and they just loop back on themselves and say the same shit when talking to people on Twitter. We're just getting dumber. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just in general,
yeah, I mean, it is kind of like the emperor is wearing no suit, but instead of people going, the emperor is wearing no clothes, they're going, no, it's all right, he's naked, my lord. I'm naked too. I've taken my clothes off in solidarity. It is the new way of going. If the emperor's got no clothes, I don't have clothes. It is good to run around naked. Your clothes are magnificent, my lord. It is the woke leftist peasants that deny the reality.
Do you know who's special? CNN chief data analyst Harry. He is special. You know what else is special?
Stop trying to make Harry Enton happen, CNN. It's not. He's never going to be Steve Kornacki.
Very special. Elections being held tomorrow in several locations around the country. Some which have Republicans nervous just a little over 2 months into the Trump presidency. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, by the way, if Trump was mobilizing the masses, if Trump had a lot of motion still, Elise Stefanik would not have had to go back. Elise Stefanik would not have had to withdraw from the appointment that she was going to get that was going to elevate her career, because she obviously has hopes for, a larger position in the Republican Party, maybe even running for office or running for the presidency. They took away her opportunity at the UN because that would have meant she would have to leave her seat in the House. And because Republicans are not exactly running with the heavens mandate they claim they have, they recognize that they can't really let go of the tiny marginal majority they have over the Democrats, especially if these special elections that are conducted in the process end up causing them to lose more seats. Her seat is in New York too, so likely flips blue in 2026. My point is, if the Republicans were doing gangbusters, if they were actually popping off, they would not fear a special election. It's upstate New York, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, guys. Special elections already benefit voters that, it benefits the Democrats in any case, because those are the ones who are locked in. It's doubly so because the current administration is also unpopular, and special elections can be seen as like a way to undermine the authority and the power that the current administration has. It is very unlikely that if Elise Stefanik left that position, that it would not be filled by a Democrat, despite the fact that it's deep red. Okay? I'm telling you, there are far too many town halls where Republican voters are yelling at their representatives. You're wrong if you think, oh my God, what the fuck is going on?
Jack up the price so that fans of live entertainers like Mr. Ritchie, I almost called him Mr. Rock, don't have access to concerts the way that they should. And when they do, it's at exorbitantly high prices. So what this executive order does, it charges the FTC and the Department of Justice with
Kid Diddler Rock is in the White House, in the Oval Office. I repeat, Kid Diddler Rock is in the Oval Office. This is not a drill. Trump is going to obviously show him the attack plans against Iran, as he did last time.
Won't be subject to these abusive and oftentimes illegal practices.
Good. Thank you very much. Bob, you want to say something?
Yeah, anybody it doesn't matter your politics. First off, thank you, Mr. President, because this has happened at lightning speed. I know you I want to make sure Alina Habba gets her credit too, because I know she worked very hard on this, but thank you for making this happen so quick. Anyone who's bought a concert ticket in the last decade, maybe 20 years, no matter what your politics are, knows that it's a conundrum. You buy a ticket for $100, by the time you check out, it's $170. You don't know what you're getting charged for, but more importantly, these bots, they come in to get all the good tickets to your favorite shows you want to go to, and then they're relisted immediately for sometimes a 400% or 500% markup. And the artists don't see any of that money. And, ultimately, I think this is a great first step. I would love down the road if there would be some legislation that we could actually put a cap on the resale of tickets. And I'm a capitalist and a deregulation guy, but they've tried this in some places in Europe, and it seems to be the only thing that's artists be able to get the tickets into the hands.
Oh, he's a capitalist and a deregulation guy, but some regulation is good. Okay.
And I know the president doesn't like when I say this, but I'm a little overpaid right now. It's kind of ridiculous. I would rather be, a hero to working class people and have them be able to come attend my shows and give them a fair ticket price. I can't control that right now, so hopefully this is a step to really be able to make that happen. I know a lot of artists and a lot of fans who love concerts and music are going to be very appreciative of you taking this.
And I think Bob is more interested in the fans and the people that are having to pay crazy prices than he is the artist. Maybe the artist a little bit, but the fans a lot. I've spoken to him over the years about it. And
who the fuck's going to Kid Diddler Rock shows in 2025, man?
The
What the
artists,
hell?
they go out with $100
Maybe that's why he
ticket.
wants to be able to control ticket prices because he's like, no one is paying $75 with all the surcharges, with all the upcharges. Yaparsan lütfen acıktım. Evet. So he's like, please, Mr. President.
We got a $2 million fine, and that's the only time they've enforced that act.
And who's the primary culprit? Who sells these tickets?
It's the scalpers. It's these bots go in, and they're automated, so you're.
But is there a company involved? You might not want to
No,
say.
no. Well, there's reselling markets. All yeah.
I think I know, Peter. But that's all right. Don't get them involved. Maybe
What company do you think?
Maybe they're more innocent than we think. Huh?
Well, if you think of it, like if Ticketmaster sells a ticket, if you buy a ticket and go to a show, you're in a lot of ways their worst customer. They make another 17, whatever percentage every time that ticket resells. So they don't want to enforce the Bots Act necessarily because they're making more money off it. The artists don't see any of that money, but that's not what I'm advocating for, is for me to make more money. I want the fans to have fair ticket prices, be able to go and enjoy more shows. I know people that they decide on a family vacation or going to their favorite concert once a year rather than, my parents used to go see multiple shows when you could afford them back in their day. And I'd like to take my ticket prices lower, but if I set my ticket prices low, these bots immediately eat them up and they resell for hundreds of dollars more, and I'm just making these bad actors rich.
Well, I think
I'm not sure what this executive order is for, aside from what they've presented thus far. Their presentation implies that this is an executive order to let Kid Rock do his own ticket prices for $12 a pop. Only $75. Obviously hasn't been to a concert in a while. First of all, yes, I have not. But also, I said $75 because we're talking about Kid Rock. Okay? I know it's not exactly a Taylor Swift style ticket scheme. Okay? His ticket prices should be not even free. His ticket prices, he should be paying motherfuckers to go listen to his dumbass music. What are you talking about?
this is a big step to getting it done.
A lot of musicians, you can say that, they're with Kid Rock, sir.
Good.
On this,
I think so.
without a doubt.
A lot of people are.
President Trump, would you ever wear a jacket like that?
I don't know. I was thinking about doing it for tomorrow. We have a big event coming up, and I was thinking about doing it, but I'm not sure.
So you recently bought a Tesla for White House staff to use, but now there's all these domestic terrorists targeting Teslas. Are the staff scared to drive it?
I don't think so. I haven't heard. They were complaining. I did buy one, and I let the staff use it. We have it parked conveniently, and one day we give it to Margot, one day we give it to Chamberlain, give it to Natalie, we give it to everybody around, give it to Dan Scavino, but he's got so much money it doesn't matter. But they love the car, and it's a great car, and it's made here, and it's made in the country. He's got a tremendous plant now in Texas, and he has one in California. Does a lot of his work here, and he's been really fairly treated, in my opinion.
I drive one.
And
Yeah.
there's this other story, I know it's hypothetical right now, but if you were allowed for some reason to run for a third term, is there a thought that the Democrats could try to run Barack Obama against you?
I'd love that.
For his third term?
Boy, I'd love that. That would be a good one. I'd like that. No, people are asking me to run, and there's a whole story about running for a third term. I don't know. I never looked into it. They do say there's a way you can do it, but I don't know about that. But I have not looked into it. I want to do a fantastic job. We have 4 years, just about, almost close to 4 years. Time is flying, but it's still close to 4 years, and we're getting a lot of credit for having done a great job in the first almost 100 days. And we have some big things we're going to be announcing over the next 2 days, and you know very well, Peter, and I think it's going to be something that's going to bring a lot of wealth back to our country, tremendous wealth back to our country, actually. And other countries are understanding it because they've been ripping us for 50 years, longer, but they've been ripping us off for years, right from the beginning. And I think this is going to be an amazing, I call it a lot of different names, but it's really, in a sense, it's a rebirth of a country, because how we could have afforded to do what we did. We help everybody, and they don't help us. I really, the term I like best probably is the liberation of America. It's a liberation of this country, because it's incredible. Look, we have $36 trillion in debt for a reason, and that accumulates over a long period of time. So I think what you're going to be seeing over the next couple of days will be very inspiring to a lot of people. They had a lot of auto plants being built in a certain country. I don't want to mention the country because we get along great with the country, but those plants aren't being built there anymore. They gave them up today and yesterday. day before. And they're building them all now in the United States. And we have many examples, not only auto plants. Chip companies from Taiwan are coming in. The biggest, Mr. Wei, he's big. I said, you are a smart guy, aren't you? I've been reading about him over the years, but he controls a large portion of the chip business, as you know. You don't get smarter. They're going to be investing $200 or $300 billion. Apple's investing $500 billion. You know, they always built their places in China. Now he's building here.
He is very, he's doing the same thing that Elon Musk did to tremendous success. Just keep lying about shit that's going to get better over and over again. And by the time people go, hey, remember those things that you said were going to happen and that haven't happened yet? Just lie about the new thing and then recenter people's attentions onto the new things that are not going to happen.
I don't know if we've ever been at $1 trillion.
What do you mean by that?
We're 500. What do I mean by trillion?
5 trillion. What are you referring to, sir?
I think that we're going to be at $5 trillion of investment. I think you're going to have investments very shortly.
Fuck it, dude. Yeah, we're gonna get 7 quintillion. I made up the new number. No one's ever seen numbers like this before. It's quintillion. That's right. Quintuple billion. New numbers, bigger numbers than anyone has ever seen.
But to me, the whole tariff situation, and essentially they've done that to us for many years. So if we're anywhere near 5 trillion in 2 months, this could be numbers like the country's never seen. And every time you hear a dollar spent, that's another job because the jobs are coming with it. So auto plants, chip plants, pharmaceuticals, lumber coming in. We have things happening in this country. I'm not sure that they've ever seen it. Steel, you know, we have tariffs on steel. They've been here for a while. Steel and aluminum. Nobody's ever seen anything like we're witnessing now. Nobody's ever seen anything. Most of you agree with that. I mean, it's nothing much you can't agree with. We have things happening in terms of jobs and investment, the likes of which I don't think we've ever seen. If you look at, let's say, $4 to $5 trillion in a period of a month and a half, that's even more than you do with your concerts, which are always sold out, right? Nobody's ever seen numbers. And think of it, where Apple's at 500.
Nobody's ever seen numbers.
I said, but they always used to spend their money in China. Now they're spending it here. That means they're going to build. Now, they don't have any tariffs. Remember, there are no tariffs if you do your product here, if you build whatever it is in the USA. One of the things we're also trying to get is if you buy a car that was built in the USA.
You've ever seen a number? I haven't. No one has ever seen a number. What is math? It's illegal now.
It's built in the USA. Never been done before. It's a big deduction for people that really aren't used to deductions, frankly, because people that buy cars like that are not big into the world of deductions, and now they're going to learn about deductions. So I think it's going to be great. Yeah.
Universal tariff or different individual tariff rates on a whole variety of different.
Well, you're going to see in 2 days, which is maybe tomorrow night or probably Wednesday. You're going to see, and they're reciprocal. So whatever they charge us, we charge them, but we're being nicer than they were. We have a lot of countries, friend and foe. I always say friend and foe, but the friend in many cases is worse than the foe. They took advantage of us, and we are going to be very nice by comparison to what they were. The numbers will be lower than what they've been charging us, and in some cases maybe substantially lower, but we sort of have a world obligation perhaps. But we're going to be very nice. Relatively speaking, we're going to be very kind. Somebody said that about me the other day. He said, who doesn't know me very well, they said, you're such a kind person. And I said, say that again. They said, you're a kind person. I said, I've never heard that.
Even he couldn't believe it. He's like, say that again?
Who said that? I've heard of words that, I don't know, I better not tell you. You know, I've heard of...
Even Trump couldn't believe it, that someone was dumb enough to say he's a kind person.
You met with the chairman of Stellantis today. Did
Yes.
he ask you for a pause on the auto tariffs?
No.
What was that meeting about?
Just about some of the problems they have with the environmental, which we're going to clean up.
Have any of the automakers...
We're going to probably go back to 1920. If you look, we're going to go back probably to a 2020 standard. So we'll have 2020 standard, and that's just a few years ago. Oh, they're making it so difficult all over the world. They're making it. It doesn't mean a damn bit of difference either for the environment. It doesn't matter. They make it impossible for people to build cars. So we're going to be doing much different. 2020 is a strong standard, but they've taken it to a level now that makes it very difficult to build a car. So we're going to be bringing it back to a standard that is a very good environmental standard, but it makes it possible to build a car.
Have you heard any concerns from the automakers, though, about the tariffs on parts that will go into effect over the coming weeks, about what that's going to mean for the price of...
Well, I gave them a big break for a month. I didn't charge them anything, for a big month, for that first month, and they brought a lot of material into this country because they could bring it in without tariff. If you look at Canada and Mexico, they were driving hundreds of thousands of cars into the market because they avoid the tariffs by doing it before the tariffs go on, which would be Wednesday. And I saw some of your shows where cars are lined up for miles and miles. Some of them didn't have fenders on them. Some of them didn't have the roof on yet. They're driving it in brand new. They're driving it in because they want to avoid the tariffs. I let them have that. They sort of took advantage of it because, that wasn't part of the deal, but that's okay.
Are there any
They're great American car companies, and so I gave them a little break on that. Yeah.
Are there any countries that you're not targeting on Wednesday?
Well, it depends. I said it's reciprocal. Not everybody has made a fortune, but almost everybody has, but not everybody. And the ones that haven't, we're going to be very nice to them.
And on a separate issue...
Because that word reciprocal is very important. What they do to us, we do to them. Okay.
Can I just ask you briefly on President Putin? You said over the weekend, or indicated over the weekend, some frustration with him. How serious are you about imposing oil sanctions?
No, I want to see him make a deal so that we stop Russian soldiers and Ukrainian soldiers and other people from being killed. But mostly it's Russian and Ukrainian soldiers. They're losing at least 2,500 human beings, beautiful human beings, a week. And I want it to stop. And some people would say, why do you worry about Russian soldiers or Ukrainian soldiers? I worry because they're just like you people. They're like us. They're like all of us. And I seem to have an ability to do those things. And if I can do that, I think it's a very worthwhile thing to do. And I think we will. No, I want to make sure that he follows through, and I think he will. I don't want to go secondary tariffs on his oil, but I think, it's something I would do if I thought he wasn't doing the job. I did it with Venezuela. Secondary tariffs, and you know what happened? Every boat left the harbor. Did you see that? It was a beautiful thing to see. The whole harbor emptied out. My words weren't even finished, and I have these massive ships. They're actually taking the hoses and dumping them into there. They couldn't get out of there fast enough because they know I don't play games. So I think he's going to live up to what he told me, and I think he's going to fulfill his part of the deal. Now, then you have Zelensky, and hopefully he's going to live up. I see he's trying to renegotiate the rare earth. We did something because, as you know, the Europeans get paid back the money that they gave, and we don't, because Biden is an incompetent president. And he should have asked for rare earth, or he should have asked for the loans to be guaranteed in some form. That's what Europe did. Europe is in for probably $100 billion, and we're in for $350 billion. So we're in for more than 3 times. And now you could make it a little bit less than that, but it doesn't matter, whatever the number. We're in for substantially more than Europe. We could be in for $350 billion. They have no idea because Biden wasn't a good bookkeeper except for himself. And what happens is we made a deal for rare earth. It was all done. And I heard through you, I haven't spoken to them yet, but through you I heard that they're now saying, well, I'll only do that deal if we get into NATO or something to that effect. Well, that was never, number one, discussed. Number two, I think it's going to be long before Putin, they said you're not going into NATO. And it could be, that's probably the reason the war started, actually.
Yes, we're hours away from a very special election. Wisconsin, Florida. I want to share your thoughts on Republican voters to not sleep on this.
Yeah.
2 very important races you got.
Well, it's a big race, Supreme Court race in Wisconsin. It's taking place essentially as it was early voting, so we'll see what happens. It's a big race. I love Wisconsin. We won Wisconsin. Republicans typically don't do very well in Wisconsin, but I did. I actually won it twice. I actually probably won it 3 times, to be exact.
We played their side.
Not probably. I won it 3 times. We had a rigged election the second time, but that's, one of those things. We had to make this one too big to rig. Would you agree with that, Brian?
Yes,
too
sir.
Big to rig?
Yes, sir.
My dad Triggered the fire alarm.
So anyway, but
So I had to fix
yeah, there's a big race, and I hope you get out and vote for the Republican. The woman is a radical left lunatic, and let's see who wins. But the woman will be very bad, and you know, Wisconsin's a big state politically, and the Supreme Court has a lot to do with elections in Wisconsin. So if whoever it is that's running, including, you know, even Senate races, etc., but whoever it is in 4 years that runs, having Wisconsin is a very big, you know, we won it early and big, but winning Wisconsin's a big deal. So therefore, the Supreme Court choice, that is the one you're talking about right now. It's a big race. It's going to be announced fairly shortly.
There's 6-week deadlines. You got Liberation Day and the TikTok deadline.
Yeah, we do, which I can extend if I want, but we have a lot of enthusiasm for TikTok, for buying it. I think TikTok is good.
Yeah,
I
remember the ban? What happened? It was supposed to be banned by now. What happened?
And we won by 36 points, the youth. You know, we won the youth, which Republicans don't do. Maybe it's because Kid Rock likes Trump, I don't know, but we won the youth by 36 points, and I attribute some of that to TikTok.
Is the TikTok deal, the negotiations now, tied to a bigger tariff deal with China?
No, but you know, it could be. I mean, you know I've used tariffs for lots of different reasons, but I could see, you know, 1 point in tariffs with China, a big country, would be probably worth more than all of TikTok, as valuable as TikTok is. It's big stuff. So there's a great example. That's a great question, actually. I'm a very flexible person. I could use that for that. Like, maybe I'll take a couple of points off if I get approvals for something. I haven't done it. Maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. But it's a very good question. Peter, you're very good.
Thank you. You'll love this one.
Go ahead.
It's not front page news, but I am just curious. What is your thought about Tiger Woods now becoming part of the broader Trump family?
Oh my God.
Well, I love Tiger, and I love Vanessa, and they had a great relationship. I happen to think the relationship with my son, I happen to think the relationship was hurt very badly by the witch hunt that went on, Russia, and all the crap that they put Don through, who knew nothing about it. But Vanessa and Don had a very good relationship. They have incredible children, 5 incredible children, all good athletes, all great students, they're like great. And they broke up, you know, quite a while ago, and which was to me very sad, because I think they're both great. Don and Vanessa. And Tiger actually called me a few months ago, and you have a very special, very good relationship with Tiger. I played golf with him a couple of times over the last month, and he's a fantastic guy and a fantastic athlete. And he told me about it, and I said, Tiger, that's good. That's good. I'm very happy for both. I just let them both be happy. Let them both be happy. They're both great.
To follow up on China, China, South Korea, and Japan say they're going to work together in cooperation to respond to the tariffs that you're going to put into effect this week. Are you concerned that
if only Shinzo Abe were here, he would never let this happen. He would never align with China. I miss him so much.
I think they have a chance of doing better, actually, with the tariffs. It can actually help them in a certain way. And I think a lot of them will drop their tariffs because, you know, they've been unfairly tariffing the United States for years. And if you look at the European Union on cars, the European Union already dropped their tariff down to 2.5%. It was announced a couple of days ago, which is what which is a very small tariff. The United States charged very little. And a lot of, I think I heard that India just a little while ago is going to be dropping its tariffs very substantially. And I said, why didn't somebody do this a long time ago? A lot of countries are going to be dropping their tariffs.
And also what happened in France today, Mr. President, Marine Le Pen, the far-right leader, got convicted in court and is now banned from running for office for 5 years. Do you have a comment on that?
That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. I know all about it, and a lot of people thought she wasn't going to be convicted of anything, and I don't know if it means conviction, but she was banned for running for 5 years, and she's the leading candidate. That sounds like this country. That sounds very much like this country. Okay, anybody else?
You've been presented with a bunch of proposals for tariffs by your advisors that you're talking about that idea publicly.
And who?
That your advisors have presented ideas about tariffs and what to do in the next few days. Have you settled on
Well, you're going to see, I've settled, yeah, actually a long time ago.
Yeah.
But we talk about it. We talk about it a lot. We want to do what's right for the country and even the world. You know, it affects the world, not just this country. This has been the piggy bank for the entire world. So it really does affect the world, and that's important to me also. Yeah.
Mr. President, in the past you have said that you want the quick return of Austin Tice, a Marine Corps veteran and a journalist who went missing in Syria over 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Have efforts been made to locate Austin Tice been extended beyond Syria, including potential leads in Iran? And do you have plans to get in touch with Ms. Deborah Tice, the mother of Austin Tice? And also at the same time, organizations like Hostage Aid Worldwide have been on the ground in Syria searching for Austin Tice for many years. Can I get your comment on the future, potential future plans to locate Austin Tice and to bring him home finally?
So we've been looking, as you know, for Austin for years. I don't know about Biden. I don't think Biden was looking for anything, but we were, and there's been virtually no sign. You know that. There's been no sign of Austin. An incredible young guy, less young now. It's been a long time. It's been many, many years. The mother is fantastic. She's a very committed mother that her whole life is to find her son, who was in Syria and just disappeared off the face of the earth. So, you know, a lot of bad things happen, but we're always, you know, we will never, until we find out something definitive, one way or the other, we'll never stop looking for him. But we have been, and the response, it's just a lot of dead ends. He's been gone for a long time. The problem is there's never been a sighting. You know, sometimes you'll have somebody you're looking for him and there's a sighting. There's never been a sighting of Austin, but we are out there and we have great respect for his family and for his mother. She's been unbelievable. Yeah,
Mr. President, a question about...
no, behind you.
Oh, apologies.
Yes, you've had outreach with the leaders of Russia and China. You've made an outreach to Iran. When are you going to plan to reach out to North Korea and Kim Jong-un? Anytime in the near future?
Well, I do. I have a very good relationship with Kim Jong-un. Now, you people hate to hear that, but it's very important. I got along with him fantastically, as you know. It started off very rough, very nasty. Little rocket man, the whole thing was a nasty deal. And then one day we got a call that they'd like to meet. We met. We have a great relationship. And yeah, we have, there is communication, yeah. I think it's very important. You know, he's a big nuclear nation, and he's a very smart guy. I got to know him very well. Remember, I put my foot across the line, and then I walked across the line. I don't know if Secret Service was thrilled with that. They actually wasn't. They were not too thrilled. But I have a very good relationship with him. Yeah, we'll probably do something at some point. Yeah, please. So we have a lot of good people that want it. First of all, Elise is fantastic, and I just don't want to take chances with you guys saying, how is the election going? We have a congressional election that's a little bit close. I guess the one is in good shape, but the other one's a little bit close. But Randy Fine is a great guy. They're both good candidates. They're very good. But it's, you know, a little bit, we want to be careful. And Elise is very popular in her district. And so am I. We won by a lot of points, and so did she. And there's a lot of people that wanted to run for it, but we have no idea are they going to win it. I think it's just security. And I said, Elise, what about going back? Because they love you there, and she's going to take a big leadership position with Mike Johnson and the group, the speaker. And I can tell you that for the replacement, we have a lot of people that have asked about it and would like to do it. David Friedman, Rick Grinnell, and maybe 30 other people. Everyone loves that position. That's a star-making position. And so we'll see what happens. But we have a lot of people that are interested in going to the United Nations, as you can imagine. Yeah.
Just want to get a quick music question. Favorite song to play live is what? And then my question for you, Mr. President,
This is
your
Modi.
favorite rally you did last year, 2024. What was your favorite one?
This is Modi shit. We're in Modi territory.
Tough one. It'd have to be one of the hits, probably Cowboy or Ball with the Bar. There's a song that I've played every night that was never a singular hit that I probably should not say the words to in this office right now.
And then for you, Mr.
You never met a certain
by the
person
way,
like
his
me.
rallies are amazing. He does great and gets big crowds. He's really a star when it comes to that. He is a very talented guy.
Oh my God.
I would say
He's been standing there the whole time. Oh my God.
that was there
Oh my God, Kid Diddler Rock has been standing there the entire time.
You know, to me, always.
I'm losing it.
He said this. He's never seen anything like it. We had. When you announced Madison Square Garden, it's a big arena, but we sell out big arenas. We sold out in Milwaukee. We sold out at every big arena. We never had empty seats. It's amazing. They talk about Bernie Sanders gets 2,000 to 3,000 people. Everyone said, these crowds, I get 107,000 people in Butler, PA. We had over 100,000 the second time. We had 55,000 the first time. We have.
Oh, he's heard the crowds. He's seen the Bernie crowds. He does not like that. Kid Diddler Rock about to be like, oh, my favorite line is when I said in my famous song, you call it statutory, I call it mandatory. That's his favorite line.
That were stacked all the way back to the Hudson River and on the other direction, back to Fifth Avenue. Nobody's ever said, I don't mean with a line, I mean like 50 deep. Like 50 deep this way. The streets were closed, the whole thing, it was crazy.
That's
and when you take that, you want to do
song.
well at Madison Square Garden. You don't want to have empty seats. But we could have sold it out, Brian, 10 times, and everybody knew it. And I think we got a good indication that that's where the election was going. And we won every swing state, and we won by millions of votes. It was a great election, yeah.
Mr. President, the U.S. military transferred 17 individuals to El Salvador overnight. Did you discuss with your team whether these deportations would run afoul of any recent court orders?
No, I do want to thank, however, the president. He has been unbelievable, and in relation to us. But I think that our people have done an incredible job. I got elected on the basis of getting bad people out of our country that shouldn't be here. Very dangerous people out of our country, and that's what I did. And then you have a judge that wants to take over, and I can't imagine it can be allowed. If it was up to him, they'd all be put back in our country. These are killers, these are drug lords, these are really bad people. But I want to thank the president of El Salvador because he's done an amazing job. You saw it, yeah.
Elon Musk's special government tenure is coming to an end, 130 days, I think another month.
Yeah.
Do you want him to stay longer, or is it time for him to go back to running his companies in Europe?
Well, I think he's amazing, but I also think he's got a big company to run, and so at some point he's going to be going back. He wants to.
Would you want to keep him around?
But I'd keep him as long as I could keep him. He's a very talented guy. I love very smart people. He's very smart, and he's done a good job. DOGE has, we found numbers that nobody can even believe, like 400 billion, 500 billion. It could be close to $1 trillion by the time.
Nobody knows numbers I've never even seen before. Who knows numbers?
He's led the charge, and you've seen a lot of his people. And these are people that joined up. I always say the high IQ people. I like high IQ people, and they've done a great job. No, at some point, Elon's going to want to go back to his company. I will say, he's got, despite the way he's been treated, so he's an American patriot, but the way he's been treated with Tesla is just terrible. It's just terrible.
Once he goes
in fact, you have a Tesla.
Tesla.
And you love it. You love it. He was saying before he bought a Tesla, he loved it. A lot of people are buying Teslas, I think, and I hope they are. He should not be treated that way. He's done an incredible service to our country.
Well, once he goes back, is DOGE going to keep operating even without Elon here?
Well, I can't tell you that. I can say this, that a lot of the people that are working with DOGE are the secretaries, the heads of the various agencies, and they've learned a lot, and they're dealing with the DOGE people. I think some of them may try and keep the DOGE people with them, but, at a certain point, I think it will end. But they have also gotten a big education, and they're doing a really good job. There'll be a point at which the secretaries will be able to do this work and do it very, as we say, with the scalpel. And that's what we want. Yeah, Jeff?
Mr. President, have you had any updates on the U.S. soldiers missing in Lithuania?
I have.
Can you give us an update?
So 3 are no longer with us, and 1 is unfortunately probably in the same category, but they haven't declared that yet. It was a very heavy truck, like a toy, but really heavy. That lifted the heaviest equipment, and it would seem that the bank of a lake collapsed. The weight is so big, and it was at night, and it was very cold weather, ice, a lot of ice, and it's possibly slipped. And the weight is so enormous of this thing. It's a massively heavy vehicle, and if they slipped a little bit, that's probably what happened, and it flipped. And 3 are gone, and 1 is missing.
a separate topic, follow up on immigration. Did you see the video of the Tufts
Watched
University
him?
student who was taken off the street by ICE agents last week in hoodies and masks? There's been a lot of criticism of that. Are you comfortable with how that was handled?
Well, I haven't really looked at it in any detail, but I will. I mean, I have seen it quickly, but not. I wouldn't want to comment on it. Yeah, please.
Yeah, Mr. President, would you be able to confirm recent reporting that you are making plans to go to Saudi Arabia next month? And if so, why is Saudi Arabia so important?
So, I have a very good relationship with the Middle East. In fact, if you look at Michigan, I won the vote by a lot. People were a little surprised. And I have
What
a very
happened?
good
He just said he'll look into it?
Mohammed and the king. His son is Mohammed. He's great. Crown Prince, actually, he's Prime Minister too. He's got a lot of good titles. But he's great. And the king has been wonderful. And if you remember, last time I went to Saudi Arabia, I put him first on the list because they agreed to buy $450 billion worth of American goods, military and otherwise. And they did, and it was an unbelievable day. It was in this gorgeous ballroom, and companies were there from many, probably 100 companies, and they were given anywhere from 40 or 50 million dollars to less, and more actually. Okay, some of them were given numbers that were just many times that amount. I think we had a couple of $20 billion deals, and big stuff. And it's a very rich country because of oil, and we are a very rich country ultimately when we straighten it out because of oil. Well, it's always good. And I agreed to do it again, and they've agreed to spend close to $1 trillion of money in our American companies, which to me means jobs. So they're going to spend hundreds of billions of dollars giving them to American companies that are going to be making equipment for Saudi Arabia and other places in the Middle East. And for that, I think it's worth it. I did it last time, $450 billion, and the press was there. It was one of the most unique days I've ever seen, where companies would get up and you're getting $20 billion. The name.
There's nothing funnier than Kid Diddler Rock standing there for this entire process, and he has to stand up the whole
Peter? I
time.
don't know if you were there. You might be too young for that.
I was on the Democratic campaign trail. At the
Oh,
time,
that
so I
was
missed
boring. This was a much better deal. But it was amazing, actually. It was an amazing day. We sold and we partook in $450 billion worth of investment into American companies. And they announced the company, the amount of money, $1 billion, $5 billion, $25 billion. And the chairman of the company, many of whom, well-known figures, prestigious figures, great business leaders, they went up, they shook the hand of somebody, and they would sit down, and we just had a big investment made. So it was a record. Nobody ever beat it before. $450 billion worth of jobs. I view it as jobs more than anything else. And now we're close to $1 trillion, so it's more than double the number that we did when I first came to office.
And this trip takes place next month?
Could be next month, maybe a little bit later, yeah. And we're going to Qatar also. And also we're going to possibly a couple of other countries. UAE is very important. It's a great leader in UAE. And I had his brother here the other night, if you saw that. We had a wonderful guy, a wonderful family.
That's how you know the
So
UAE is the
probably
worst.
stop at UAE and Qatar, and as I used to call it, Qatar. Nobody's ever told me right or wrong. I always like to say Qatar, but it's Qatar. They like to say Qatar. And Saudi Arabia, the three of them, and then we'll go other places also.
Amazing.
But in the Middle East, those seem to be the three. And again, tremendous amounts of jobs will be created in those 2 or 3 days. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Headed out that door right there.
Okay, ready, everybody?
There it is. Now you can charge $5 for your concerts, Kid Rock. Kid Diddler Rock. Hold that up.
Thank you, everybody.
It's awesome. He has his own court jester.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Literally his own personal. Wait, what? Oh, we missed it. He said, did Biden do press conferences like this? I don't think so. Anyway, I'm going to cover the Ashley St. Clair drama with Elon Musk. Elon Musk baby mama drama. Happening once again to the guy who constantly puts himself in these positions. But in a brief moment, before we do that, let's get back to the special elections that are taking place around the country. Specifically the House seat in Florida.
Captain Special. Florida's 6th congressional district. This was the seat held by Michael Waltz, who's now the embattled national security advisor. Yeah. Is this supposed to be close?
Yeah, I mean, look, let's just talk about Florida's 6th district, right? It's Josh Will versus Randy Fine, the Republican, the 2025 special. This is a ruby red district. Donald Trump won it by, get this, 30 percentage points. This race should not be close. It should not be close. But this is a special election in which I want you to take a look at the turnout so far in the early vote. Republicans have just a 9-point advantage. You don't have to be a mathematical genius to know 9 points is way less than 30. Now, of course, this is just party affiliation. We don't know how those folks are voting, but we do know that the early vote traditionally in Florida makes up the vast majority of the vote when all the votes are cast and counted. And so the bottom line is, at this point, if people vote according to their party affiliation, this race is likely to be far, far, far closer than the Donald Trump plus 30 that we saw in the presidential race. Just a little.
Bro, do you guys ever do that thing where like a piece of food falls on you and it just doesn't hit like one tiny spot, but it ends up literally hitting everything it physically could, defying the laws of gravity? Like, I don't even understand how this thing bounced. This piece of chicken bounced in a way where it like hit numerous parts of my pants, all over my shirt. Like, I don't even understand how the fuck this is. I mean, I don't know how this could ever happen. It is defying. The piece of chicken needs to be studied by scientists for defying the laws of fucking physics, dude. How is that possible? Looney Tune ass chicken.
A little bit over, let's just say, what is that? 4 or 5 months ago?
It is interesting that this race, this number here, probably cost Elise Stefanik, Congresswoman from New York, the ambassadorship to the United Nations, because the White House all of a sudden got nervous. There could be sort of a trend across the country. So talk to me about special elections in general. Would it be surprising to see Democrats do well?
Yeah, you know, sometimes you see a special election and say that's a one-off. But what's important here is it's part of a trend. It's not just here in Florida 6th in which Republicans are struggling, it seems to me, compared to the presidential baseline of 2024. I want to take you to the nation at large and take a look at the average 2025 special election in state legislative and federal. And what we see so far is Democrats on average are way above their baseline. We're talking about doing 9 points better than Harris did last year in 2024. So when we see that party affiliation statistics coming out of Florida 6 and you combine it with what we've been seeing in the nation as a whole, I think that is a big reason why Republicans are sweating, quite worried, and why, as Mr. Berman was pointing out, Elise Stefanik decided to actually stay in Congress instead of going off to the White House. Because keep in mind, that district is actually only about a plus 20 Trump district. That one could have been very competitive, given that it seems to me Florida 6, that is plus 30 Trump, is already quite competitive as it is.
I don't think she decided. I think they decided.
I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt.
I think they decided for her. So talk to me about how predictive special elections can be.
Yeah, so, you know, you see all this. You see the +9 and the early.
Nope. Say that anymore. This last election cycle proved that special elections are not predictive at all. It is not reflective of the broader party. It is not reflective of the people's attitude towards the party. It is not reflective of anything other than the fact that Democrats still have the dialed in, high info voters that fucking care about going out and voting in a special election. That's it. That's it. Democrats have that on lock. We know that already.
Early vote in Florida 6. You see the +9 here, Democrats doing better than the 2024 baseline. You go, why does this matter? Why does this matter at all? Well, why don't we take a look back through time, jump in the DeLorean, and let's take a look at special elections and midterm results. I know there's a lot of font on this screen, a lot of text, but the key thing here is if a party outperforms in special elections and midterm elections since the 2005-2006 cycle, 5 out of 5 times, that party that outperforms goes on to win the U.S.
That was one of my best locks that everybody fucking thought was wrong. I kept saying, if this is a high turnout election, Democrats are cooked, because high turnout favors the Republicans now, because all of the voters that normally don't participate in votes are coming in from the podcast bros, the normies that normally don't go out and vote. They're all going for the Trump side. Special elections don't have that.
House of Representatives, and of course that is what Democrats are hoping is the case this time around, given so far the special election results.
And what had the White House nervous? Harry Etten, thank you for explaining it so well.
Thank you. I feel so special.
Kate?
There's a lot that just went on there. Let's continue it now. Joining us right now is Democratic Congresswoman Susan DelBene of Washington. She is the chair of the DCCC, the House Democrats campaign arm. You are very much focused on what the gentlemen were just talking about there, focusing in on Florida 6, Mike Walz's seat specifically. It's a Trump plus 30 seat. Do you think you guys can actually win it?
Well, I think it's stunning that we're even talking about this. It shows how dangerous the Trump and Republican agenda has been and how outraged people are across the country, not just Democrats, the American people writ large. And so folks are turning out. You're seeing them turn out at town halls across the country who are voicing their outrage and concern. And you're seeing that in Florida, too. Clearly, this is a very, very red district. But the fact that folks are even talking about it shows frustration of the American people. And the fact that Elise Stefanik is no longer going to be the ambassador to the UN, also another sign that folks are angry and Republicans are running scared.
Did this surprise you in Florida? I asked that because
Democrats were like, we've tried nothing and we're out of all ideas. And yet here you go. I guess what we have done, which is nothing, seemingly is working. Yes, they will look to this and go, see, we're actually very successful. They're so dumb.
some of the reporting I saw was that the D-Trip hasn't put any money into those specials.
You know, we're obviously focused on taking back the House. We only need 3 more seats to take back the House. And there have been a lot of resources put into these races. Folks are running strong campaigns. I actually think folks have the resources to get their message out. It's up to the voters right now.
How close, you'll call it a win. Let's just focus on Mike Walz's seat. You'll call it a win for Democrats if you get how close in, again, a district that Donald Trump won by 30.
Well, I think what you just saw is the fact that just over about 5 months since the last election, Republicans are losing ground. So that gap, the smaller that gap is.
Oh my God. Oh, they're such pathetic fucking failures. It's a special election. No matter how deep red the district is, the very fact that you're already conceding to a defeat, but like what the percentage of that defeat looks like will show how successful we are, is total loser shit. God damn, they suck so bad. That is crazy. Like, there's no, just have some backbone. Be like, no, we're going to win this. Like, eyes on the prize. She literally said, yeah, we haven't really spent a lot of money because who fucking cares? And 2, yeah, the margin of defeat will show how successful we were overall. Yeah, it's the CP3 takes key 3 to cut the lead down to 49 moment. Okay? That's what it is. So fucking stupid.
But lower than 30 points really shows the impact of Trump's agenda on the American people.
Anything better than a loss at 30?
Well, I think we're going to continue to see that go down, and obviously that's important, a reflection of kind of how people are reacting to what's happened just in the last about 70 days.
Let me ask, looking at some of the recent, CBS just came out with a new poll showing that Donald Trump's approval rating stands at 50%. I was looking at then a recent Q poll found that 40% of Democratic voters, just 40% of Democratic voters, approve of the job that Democrats are doing in Congress. The first time ever that congressional Democrats are underwater with their own voters in that poll. To that end, the Democratic governor of California, he has been speaking out a lot, and he has his take on the Democratic brand right now when he was on Real Time with Bill Maher. Let me play this for you.
These guys are crushing us. The Democratic brand is toxic right now. The problem with the Democratic brand, we talk down to people, we talk past people. We're in a panic. I get it, for good reason. Yes. This guy's not screwing around. Right. But we need to own our mistakes. So we need to own what's wrong with our party.
What do you say to Gavin Newsom? If there is one problem Democrats have, what's the problem?
Well, I'd actually say let's look at the things we've done right. And in the House,
you think Gavin Newsom's wrong? The Democratic brand is not toxic.
I actually think we did a lot of things right in our House races, and I think these are important and telling across the country. We have 13 Democrats in the House right now who won in seats that President Trump also won. We had incredible candidates on the ground in districts across the country who are talking about the issues that people were important to their constituents.
Yeah, like AUKUS. Oh, wait, she's talking about the House races. Yeah, we were talking about issues that were important to the people. Like, we are the real party that wants to do the border, I promise. Oh my God. This is Chuck Schumer shit? I know. So here's the problem. As is usually the case, fucking Gavin Newsom is also wrong and annoying, but not in the way that you would think he is wrong and annoying. Like, I don't think it's wrong to say that the Democrats have an attitude issue. Like, they're smug, entitled, annoying assholes who don't want to listen to anybody. But the problem is, his solution to that is quite literally doing more of the issue to begin with, which is to listen to only the right. You're a fucking moron. He literally says in that conversation, we got to listen to the right more. Well, that's what Kamala did, and that's why she lost, you fucking idiot. True center-right politics hasn't been tried is an incredible assessment to make. It is the exact wrong opinion to have. And I think Gavin is such a old school Democrat from a progressive stronghold like California that he cannot see the world outside of that pre-existing, we have to do more controlled opposition bullshit attitude. This is the problem. He thinks that Trump's failures partnered up with a male, like handsome, charismatic male package instead of Kamala Harris is going to carry the Democratic Party, with Gavin leading the helm, into a marginal victory. And even if he might be correct on this, which I don't think he is, his attitude right there is exactly what caused the Democrats to lose this past election. People do not want Republican-lite. They don't want Republican-lite. And that's precisely what Gavin is trying to do. He's like, no, the only problem was Kamala Harris was a black woman, and that's why she lost. If we did Republican-lite, we would have been able to win with a white man. It is crazy that these guys very clearly do not care about winning. They very clearly do not care about change. They only want to win marginal victories where they lose the Senate or the House so they can just fucking sit around and be like, well, there's nothing we can do. We did everything we could. You just didn't vote hard enough.
About costs and lowering costs of housing, of food, of childcare.
But you can't deny that.
No, but we won. We won.
Yes, but
in these tough districts.
But since then and now, you can't deny that there hasn't been a whole lot of, for lack of a better term, mess among what's the direction, what's the message, where are Democratic leaders taking us?
But what I'm saying is, we know when we talk to people about the issues that they care about the most, when we have great candidates running across the country, we win. We picked up seats in the House. In fact, House candidates ran ahead of the top of the ticket across the country. So I think it's important that we have folks who are going to address issues head on, are going to talk to the issues that matter to the community. Again, lowering costs, making sure that everyone has affordable health care across the country. These are critical issues. And Frank, Donald Trump promised to lower costs on day one. Anything but. Costs are going up at the grocery store, the gas station.
On that point, tariffs. It's a big week for tariffs. With what is about to set in, it's unclear exactly what's about to set in or be announced. When Donald Trump says that he's promised it, this is going to be great for the American worker, what do you think, where do you think the strategy is for Democrats in this tariff plan?
Well, prices are going up for families across the country. This is a massive tax on American families. And let's be clear, these tariffs are taxes. They're sweeping, they're impacting prices at the grocery store, at the pharmacy counter, at the gas pump. And he's planning to do more, make the cost of automobiles go up. And we have integrated supply chains. Even U.S. manufacturers are struggling with these tariffs. And I had a local manufacturer in my district say he's going to be tariffed out of business. He's trying to sell internationally. Just the uncertainty alone of not being able to lock in prices means he's losing business. It's impacting farmers, families, and you've seen the impact that it's had across the country, and you've seen the impact on the market.
Donald Trump and his team says trust in Trump, and we'll wait and see how it goes. We will see it together.
Said he didn't care
about prices going up. He did say that this weekend. Congresswoman, thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate your time.
As Democrats appear rudderless without clear leadership, one progressive influencer is throwing her hat into the ring with a pointed message to voters and the party.
Donald Trump and Elon Musk are dismantling our country piece by piece. And so many Democrats seem content to just sit back and let them. So I say it's time to drop the excuses and grow a spine. I'm Kat Abu Ghazaleh, and I'm running for Congress in Illinois' 9th District. We're focused on meeting constituent needs with one simple rule. What if we didn't suck?
All right, that was progressive influencer Kat Abu Ghazaleh, bold pitch announcing her run for Illinois' 9th congressional district. Abu Ghazaleh has made a name for herself the last several years working as a contributor for Media Matters and Zeteo, where she has covered right-wing media figures, including Tucker Carlson and Elon Musk. Her work exposing these figures has endeared herself to a big following on social media with more than 600,000 followers combined throughout TikTok, X, and Blue Sky. She is now running against incumbent Democratic Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, who's held the seat since 1990. That was the...
It's funny because, like, people will say Jan is technically a J Street Democrat and not an AIPAC Democrat, as in, like, she's infinitely more favorable to the conditions of the Palestinians. And obviously, well, Kat is Palestinian, so it's never going to be like that. Having said that, she's been in office since 1990. It's time for her to retire, man. The appropriate thing to do in this situation is to literally say, you know what? I've been doing this for 35 fucking years. Time for some goddamn new blood. It's not like she's trying to unseat Bernie Sanders. You know what I mean?
Your cat was...
Like, I'm an old ass motherfucker. And she's been in office since before I was born, dude. Think about that.
Born. Abu Ghazaleh's message that the party needs to find a spine is actually resonating. Her campaign has raised more than $300,000 so far. Kat Abu Ghazaleh joins me now. Kat, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for coming on. Let me just start with the decision for you to run. When was that decision made? What was the tipping point? I mean, you've been following this. You've been covering this for years. Why did you...
Oh, she's been in office since 99, not 90. My bad.
Decide now is the moment that you can make a difference?
There wasn't like any specific moment that really triggered me into wanting to run. It's just been watching Democrats do nothing. We put this campaign together in under 50 days. My campaign manager and I went back through our texts, and we truly started February 3rd. So between January 20th and February 3rd, I just thought there's too much inaction, and I'm sick of waiting around for someone else to do something.
I understand you had your first campaign event in Evanston, Illinois. How did that go? What can you tell us about the reception that you've had so far?
Oh my God, it was incredible. We had over 130 people come. Instead of charging any, admission, we had people bring tampons and pads, boxes of tampons and pads to be donated to the Period Collective here in Chicago. I met so many people. There was a ton of excitement. We had kids drive up from out of state just to say that they want to run for office. Tons of young people, tons of older.
Yeah, I think like the number one thing for Kat is that she is representative of a new wing of younger, actually real progressive, leftist people running for office. I think that's a very good thing. I think it's a cool thing, especially because like she understands the media environment. She understands how this stuff works. I'm excited to see what happens. Yeah, she's a friend of the show. So, hopefully she wins. Olivia Giuliana could head this movement. Yeah, exactly. On that note, we have a bunch of other stuff to talk about as well. Specifically how Trump broke the populist right. I haven't seen this video, but I will say I'm very interested in seeing, I don't know Brandon Miller like that, but I have been seeing a lot of right-wing infighting. Yeah, this is also kind of like right-wing infighting, but Reddit is all libs, so Anon watches Asmongold. Trump is 100% serious about running for a third term. Haha, I told you he's going to become a dictator. Based. Haha, content president. Haha, based. Hey, dude, you can't deny the fucking results. Okay? You cannot deny the fucking results. Okay? Mr. Apolitical, Mr. Common Sense is not so common, is absolutely destroying the conservative media ecosystem. He's killing it. It is what it is. All you got to do is drop a couple wells and drop a couple boasts, okay, in the backdrop of a Trump video in the corner, and you're cooking. That's what the new Republican audiences demand. That's what they want. We're going to watch the Amon Animations video. Yes, we're going to watch it, okay? We're going to watch it. Don't worry. I mean, yeah, it's like the older version of Asmongold is literally Jesse Lee Peterson going, amazing. That's it. It's like you've nailed it. I've often talked about how Jesse Lee Peterson is a perfect demonstration that you don't have to be smart, intelligent, charismatic, or even have a couple brain cells that you can fucking rub against one another to be able to find success in the Republican content sphere. Asmongold is doing a smarter version of that. That's it. All right.
And
one last horrifying atrocity that we will be talking about. Of course, Israel's bare assertion defense for killing medics in Gaza fails legal scrutiny. An analysis of, from what I understand, 15 healthcare professionals that Israel has personally targeted and assassinated. I will react to the Amon Gold animations in a little bit.
As Hind mentioned, funerals have been held for the 8 Palestine Red Crescent Society workers killed by Israeli forces near Rafah last week. Their bodies were only found and returned to their loved ones on Sunday. Israel blocked recovery crews from accessing the area for several days. The aid organization says the targeted killings amount to a massacre. Jeffrey Nice is a human rights lawyer. He led the prosecution of former Serbian leader Slobodan Milosevic at the UN's International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia. He's joining us live from Canterbury in the UK. Always great to have you with us on Al Jazeera, Mr. Nice. Thank you for your time. Firstly, your reaction to this particular incident and what we've heard from the UN official in that report about what happened.
It's an apparently shocking event to which the only defense offered by Israel is that this was a case of ambulances and fire trucks being used to camouflage Hamas personnel or fighters. That's a very bare assertion by them, and it has to be viewed beside, I think, the evidence, which seems to be clear, that the trucks were marked as Crescent trucks and the workers wearing clothes that identified them as such.
Guys, to be fair to Israel, they are the ones who actually hide inside of Red Crescent ambulances. So maybe they thought Hamas is doing the same. I'm, of course, not joking when I say that is something that Israel does, which is also a war crime. But I'm not joking when I say that Israel did do this, and it is a horrifying war crime, you know, followed up by October 7's galore every single fucking day upon the Palestinians, for the record. Yes, every accusation for Israel is obviously a confession.
What we should always remember is that not only do people working in humanitarian aid enjoy the protection that all civilians in conflict enjoy, they are further specially protected because it is a crime if they are authorized personnel, and in an international armed conflict, it is a crime, to a specific war crime, to attack them if they're involved in humanitarian assistance or peacekeeping missions.
Damn, this guy's good.